Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 15th of November, 2020. President Trump is still our president here in the United States and will continue to be for 4 more years. We come to you live every Sunday, roughly around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to bring you the top news from around the world. Now, because we are in the middle of election stuff, I have a sneaking suspicion that Leah's prepared show for you today is going to include because what happens to America affects the world.
So this is what happened last Sunday, ready? So last Sunday, I was like, okay, we usually do like a 2-hour show. It sounds like a long time and then it goes by so fast. We're going to do an hour of around the world because there's stuff happening and we cover, everywhere from Hong Kong and we just really have been focusing on
I got a notification
Brexit.
again that Resistance Chicks is live on Facebook.
So, I was going to get a drink of water, but I don't need it yet. Okay, so, I've been covering Brexit and we cover Nigel and all this good stuff and there's a lot of stuff happening around the world. Other people matter, right? But everybody kept asking about the election. And it was like nobody cared about anything else. And I was like,
even people from around the world didn't care about
and
world
I was like,
news.
we're going to get to it in the second half if you guys could just hold on to your tushies.
Oh my gosh.
And even Mom's like, wait, what's happening? What's news? And it was that night. It was last Saturday night that they declared Biden president-elect or whatever. The media did. And she's like, what did I miss overnight? And I was like, just a minute. So I'm not gonna intersperse things like I didn't last week. We have world news to cover, but we are gonna give you the latest updates of what's happening. Because we recognize that the
everyone is on pins and needles.
Yeah. Okay. So, but there are big things happening. So the big thing happening over in the UK there's 2 big things happening. Number one, the lockdowns all over the world are affecting everybody. Okay. So there were some anti-lockdown protests in Bristol, and I kind of have an interesting video for you where a tattoo artist invokes common law and the officer walks away. Like, oh, you can do that? That's great. I'll try this.
I'm going to do that here.
I know. So, but first off, Dominic Cummings has been one of the architects of Brexit and Vote Leave. He's been in Conservative government for, I think, over 20 years. Nobody knew about his name until he was kind of brought in by Boris Johnson and his new cabinet to try to help bring Brexit home. Now, Nigel Farage is not happy about his departure because he thinks it's just going to be a sellout of Brexit. Now, what does that mean? They're looking at, this is why this connects to the U.S. election. They're looking at a Biden win, and then that is why I'm going to make the connection in the title here with Joe Biden. Britt Baza keeps sending me links about Joe Biden's connections with the IRA and with the more Europhile section of Ireland and the EU, and how do you get deals done if America isn't on your side?
Right.
You really can't, right? You've got Germany right now reaching out to Scotland to make special deals, whereas part of the preliminary deal was that the UK couldn't make deals with other countries until they had it settled with the EU. Mm-hmm. And so they couldn't go to Australia and make a deal or Canada and make a deal until they had the deal with the EU, which was stupid to begin with. No, we're going to start making our deals and then we'll make a deal with you too. Right? So Dominic Cummings has packed his bags, but not even a bag. He walked out with a cardboard box. Now, former chief advisor to Boris Johnson, who was the driving force in the Vote Leave campaign in 2016, has accelerated his departure from 10 Downing Street, leaving the prime ministerial residence today carrying a cardboard box, and this was actually on the 13th. The unconventional Brexiteer, long a hate figure for EU lobbyists and much of the mainstream media, had been due to step down by Christmas after a power struggle between staffers aligned with Cummings and Vote Leave on one hand, and the Prime Minister's liberal fiance boiled over this week. It's always the chick. It's always the liberal chick trying to... Nobody voted for you, by the way. You're not even married. You're kind of a hoe. Okay? This resulted in Downing Street's communications director and Cummings ally.
How do you know she's a hoe?
Because she's sleeping with him and they're not married. They had a baby before they got married. It's kind of hoe-like. I'm just saying. And then, she wants to be queen hoe.
Oh, she's Leah.
Okay? Here's the thing. when you step out and you try to overthrow the will of the people, and you're not even married to the guy, you're not elected to anything. Maybe she's just sleeping her way into like controlling this. Maybe she's being paid on the side. Who wants to sleep with Boris anyways? Okay, this resulted in Downing Street Communications Director and Cummings ally Lee Kane for promotion to chief of staff.
We're gonna get, this is bullying. We're gonna get taken off of YouTube.
Resigning with garden tool. She's just making waves. With speculation that Cummings himself would follow.
Normally.
Children, do not sleep with people, especially in power. Okay? And not marry them, and then try to take over the government. Or people might not have nice things to say about you. And might not think the best of you.
Okay. Well, there we go.
It looked for a time as if the chief advisor would indeed step down, but closer to the end of the year, as he had somewhat indicated he may do anyway in a January blog post. However, the process appears to have rapidly accelerated over the course of the day, with Cummings ultimately walking out of the iconic number 10 door carrying a cardboard box after a meeting between himself and the Prime Minister, to it being decided after upset in the team in a difficult week, best to go immediately. This was all a slow burning fuse, but exploded fast when it finally happened, end of a very torrid era. So Nigel Farage had tweeted out, "It's well documented that I have never liked Dominique Cummings, but he has backed Brexit. Seeing him leave number 10 carrying a cardboard box tells me a Brexit sellout is close."
Oh dear.
Here's the thing, and this is where I'm going to shift to. Boris Johnson is a globalist, part of the global reset. I think Barry sent me an article that he wants to set apart $40 million for green space and land. I don't have problems with green spaces and things like that, but I feel like, especially with Boris Johnson and his liberal fiance, they're going the Harry and Meghan Merkel route.
Oh, yeah.
Of controlling people.
Sure.
Here's the thing. I can live how I want to live. I'm going to travel. I'm going to have posh things. But the little people are consuming too much.
Right.
Right? Because where I'm at, they have like a $10 million house. But we are consuming too much. Okay? That is where, and I'm talking about Harry and Meghan. That is where the cognitive dissonance is. They believe themselves to be kings of the world, and they look down at everyone else. Okay, it's well documented. Oh, I see. That's Nigel Farage. With Cummings gone, it is understood that Carrie Simmons' faction in Downing Street is now to ascend, and that the Prime Minister will now focus on such matters as his green agenda and abandon the culture wars, including the hitherto combative stance towards the mainstream media in general and the publicly funded BBC in particular. So he has been swallowed up in the great whale of globalism, and the people's vote that overwhelmingly gave Boris Johnson, the Conservatives, a 70-seat majority to get Brexit done. Leave means leave. Take care of the fisheries.
Right.
And so, in these points of time, I don't want to leave you without some sort of hope, okay? It'll come back to bite him in the booty because Donald Trump's going to be reelected. Okay. But, but here's the thing. Aside from Donald Trump, remember this. You have a voice in Britain.
Yeah.
You made your voice known. And that power in your voice and in your vote still stands. Even when other people in power act like a king and decree against your voice. Okay? Right. There is something spiritual to the will of the people. Right. Okay? And in the fact that Britain has common law, and they had the greatest minds in almost world history with John Locke and
Blackstone.
William Blackstone and Sir Edward Coke, which are talking about natural rights. Okay, so with Boris Johnson and the lockdowns, he's taking away your natural rights, and he doesn't have a right to do that. So you have a leg to stand on, whereas they don't have any legs to stand on. It is an illusion that they have power, but they do not have power. So the question is, how do the people get the power back from the coup, you could say, of the will of the people?
Right.
Okay, you start to read your common law. You start to read John Locke. Start to read William Blackstone. Start to read Sir Edward Coke, and begin to allow those words, and they are Christian words. They are based in Christianity, where people have freedom, where we're not ruled by some sort of oligarch, okay? And that allow those words, because those words have life and life-giving power. The best analogy I can give you, if you've seen the movie Avatar, where all the plants and the trees, they're all like connected by Mother Earth, whatever. This is actually a good example, if you can visualize it in your mind, where the world is interconnected, and there is a spiritual force. There is a Jedi force, okay?
It's called God.
It's called God, okay? But the best way to describe it, for people who can't see it, is like a Jedi force, okay? So when you invoke the power of God, and you do have to do it through the power of God, that's why it doesn't work unless you call upon the name of Jesus, asking for justice, because Jesus came to do one thing, and that is to set captives free and to separate darkness from light, okay? And to take the dominion of darkness and put it under him.
Right.
Okay. And when he's talking about the dominion of darkness, it's not just the spiritual realm, because he says he came to rule the nations. Okay. He came to rule the nations with a rod of iron, meaning you're going to bring justice to people's lives. When the gospel spread, people who steal get punished. People who don't do bad things are rewarded. It's very simple. Okay. That is what we call good government. Okay, what we have right now is we have through this technology, and we're going to talk about this great reset in the World Economic Forum. They believe that through technology and through things like cryptocurrencies and digital currencies in a digital world, they can begin to reshape the world. And they do it in the guise of trying to be environmental. But it's designed to turn us into the futuristic movie cyborgs. Mm-hmm. And to actually, they'll show you, and I'm going to show you guys some videos again, some I've shown you, some I haven't, of they'll show you videos of how bad things are, but then how technology can turn us back into greenery with waterfalls.
It's fascinating because they treat the technology like a god, like a savior.
It is their God. And God says, you shall have no other gods before me. So,
do you need to close that out?
Yeah, I'm going to close it out. Why?
Nothing. I like when the tabs... Leah starts out... Look at this. This is our whole show. With all these tabs. And I like to watch when the tabs get wider because there's less of them.
Coronavirus lockdowns tighten across Europe in a swath of new restrictions to curtail a second wave of coronavirus infections were announced or came into force from Austria to Greece, Italy to Portugal on Saturday as the global death toll climbed to 1.3 million. Now, what is this? Is this death toll just people dying in general who maybe were tested for COVID? Remember, Elon Musk was tested 4 times for COVID. He had 2 positives and he had 2 negatives
in the same day.
One woman was tested, a famous rapper or something, was tested in each nostril, and one nostril tested positive for COVID, and one nostril tested negative for COVID. Now, if she were to get into a car accident and die, they would say she died half of COVID and half of the car accident.
Well, her right nostril died of COVID, and her left nostril died of natural causes.
Exactly. So I think that when we look at these numbers, these death toll numbers, what we don't recognize is that, unfortunately, we have a population of, 1.4 billion, I think it is. I don't know. It's something like that. And people die. Right? People die over time. What?
You mean the whole world?
Yeah.
It's like 3 billion.
I don't know what it is. It's a lot of people.
Somebody get us the figure.
How many billion people are in the world?
I actually thought it was like 8, but I could be. It's 8 or 3. I was like, it's not 1.5.
All right, so supposedly 53 million people have been affected worldwide by COVID-19. Austria joined a growing trend announcing schools and non-essential shops would close from Tuesday.
It's 8. I told you.
8 billion. Great, you're so smart. With 1.3 million people dying in the past, what are we at? 10 months or 9 months. I think that's probably on par to how many people die. Okay,
you make me question my sanity sometimes.
Okay,
because Leah is historically, as my older sister, the one I look to, that she always has the right answers. So if she says 1.5, my brain goes, yeah, 1.5, and then my brain goes, no, I think it's more than
I'm
that.
I'm glad you fact checked me. All right, okay.
Fact checking.
There are still many that say the infections don't happen at school.
Wait a minute.
Shops. What?
Everybody's got these different numbers. Google tells me 7.8. 7.8 billion. That's close. Okay. We round up to 8.
Okay. Chancellor Sebastian Kirk says, but the truth is the authorities can no longer trace 77% of new infections, which means they no longer know where the contamination is happening. Greece is battling a saturated national health system. Announced it would shut all schools after imposing a nationwide night curfew. Remember, because coronavirus doesn't hit you after like 8 or 9 p.m. Or coronavirus comes out after 8 or 9 p.m. Closing elementary schools was the last thing we wanted to do. This is a measure of how serious the situation is. In Italy, the regions of Tuscany and Campania, of which Florence and Naples are the respective capitals, plunged into red zones of tough restrictions, which now cover 26 million of the 60 million population. I'm just wondering, has anybody just thought maybe we should? Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you something. I have an article about vitamin D and how the UK government is really looking into how and using vitamin D to stop the spread of COVID. And as Barry pointed out, so the more you lock people inside and tell them not to leave, then they don't get natural vitamin D, and then they get sick of all kinds of things. We all need sunlight.
Right.
We need to be outside, okay? And this is part
air.
of This is part of the World Economic Forum. This is part of the global reset. This is part of getting us to be digital beings who sit inside all day on a computer, order everything we need on a computer, and everything is tracked and everything is done by robots. Even they want the ground to be planted by robots. They want the ground to be harvested by robots. They want robot trucks on the roads to go to grocery stores, and then they want robot trucks to deliver your groceries to your home. They want robots to rule the world, and we have to actually stand up and say no. As humans, we don't want your stupid robots. People are. There's no way. If we want to reduce the numbers of the dead. Here's the thing. People die. I'm sorry that they die. Where's your hydroxychloroquine? Where's your zinc? Where's your vitamin C? How come you are not, if the numbers are really up and it's really coronavirus, why aren't you giving people prophylactically hydroxychloroquine?
I have the answer to that. Last night, you said you went in this big, long monologue about believing the people. Why would we believe these people that have lied to us over this whole time? They lied about Russia. Now they're telling us Biden's president-elect. Why would we believe you? Well, the same people that are wanting to lock us down to save all of these people believe in euthanasia for the elderly and population control. Yeah. And they want to diminish the world's population from close to 8 billion. I don't remember what the Georgia, whatever the Guidestones have it at, but it's some sort of ridiculously low
millions
number.
Of people. They don't even.
They like 5 million people. They want to take us from okay. So the people that believe in population control, there's too many people. Mm-hmm. They want less people. Are the same people telling us that we should buy the whole COVID thing because they want to save lives? No, they don't. They want less people here.
Right. Yeah, so several German cities saw protests against enforced mask wearing, with police using water cannons to disperse about 1,000 people in Frankfurt. France's Riviera resort of Nice saw 15,000 take to the streets to demand more coherent restrictions to fight the disease. Hundreds of demonstrators also turned out in Portugal, defying a weekend curfew imposed on 7 out of every 10 of the population of 10 million. The curfew bans driving on public roads after 1 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays.
Are you kidding me?
Because COVID hits after 1, maybe.
On the roads. COVID hits on the roads after
car.
1, apparently.
Just
in
right
your
through
car.
the window, baby. The pandemic is on, and we have to be protected without killing the economy, said 33-year-old Carla Toros, who works in Lisbon's hospitality industry. Poland became the latest country to report record figures with 548 coronavirus deaths over 24 hours, just days after the government decided against introducing a nationwide quarantine. Lifting the gloom, the European Medicines Agency and added to glowing hopes that an effective vaccine could be available soon. Now, I don't know if any of this is true. But people keep sending me links that there's RNA in the vaccine and they're going to track us, and that the fear and everybody wants the lockdowns to end no matter what. Like, everybody's hoping after the election that the lockdowns would end, and it actually lifted here in America for 2 or 3 or 4 days. But then when it looked like Donald Trump had a chance again, then the governors came in and were like, you can't have more than 2.5 people for Thanksgiving, and forget Christmas. And I have an article up that says 70% less travel over Thanksgiving and Christmas than in previous years.
Wow.
70% less. And here's where it hits home for us, because this is our bread and butter. We should be doing business right now. Michelle and I, we are in the travel business, you could say. And when people leave, we take care of their animals. So Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's are where we stack up the deck, so that usually when people don't usually leave in January and February, we can kind of coast through. We do a ton in the summer. And the fear of seeing your family, and the fear. Here's the thing: Christmas is supposed to be happy, but they're purposefully trying to make people sad and depressed. They know that Christmas and Thanksgiving, they literally want the mood of Halloween on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're trying to do here. It's all a fear tactic, and do not fall into it. All right, we're going to move on. I don't want to be COVID, but I'm going to tell you why. And once we get to the why, it will set you free. And you'll get angry, and you'll get righteously angry. Not to where you're like, oh, I can't do anything. You'll know what to do at the end of this show. Greek government admits losing track of over 32,000 illegal migrants. Oopsie, we can keep 7 million people in one city locked down, but we lose track of 32,000 illegal migrants. They're roaming everywhere. Okay, Greek migration minister Nikotis Mitsotakis has stated that the Greek government has totally lost track of at least 32,000 bogus asylum seekers in the country. They were rejected for asylum, and now they're just wandering around. Just lost track. Can't keep hold of them. Don't know what to do. Way to go.
Bernie, you asked how my finger is. It's doing significantly better. Thank you for asking. I think it's going to make a really nice recovery. It's not throbbing anymore. I can actually pull up my pants with 2 hands now without hurting myself.
What?
Not with this finger, but with these appendages here. So thank you for asking. It's gonna be good. Thank you.
Jesus' name.
And my finger is still attached.
All right. Let's see. Your finger. Yeah, praise God. Law Commission pushes for hate speech law to ban Islamophobic Mohammed cartoons. So, the Law Commission has proposed changes to the hate crime laws in Britain that would see the Charlie Hebdo-style caricatures of the Islamic prophet actually banned. In what is being described as the Scottish hate crime bill on steroids. We talked about the Scottish hate crime bill last week. The suggested hate speech reforms from the Law Commission, an unelected official body of lawyers in England and Wales, would see the government ban the dissemination of inflammatory cartoons in the wake of Islamist terror attacks in France. So here's what we're going to do. People get so angry that they go violent and they just go do crazy things. So really, guys, we just need to appease them and make them not so angry. Okay? The 533-page report. Who wrote that? What could it say? What could it really say? Let's, bow down to terrorism.
Hang on. For those of you that are just joining us, maybe you're now new to Resistance Chicks, you have no idea what we're talking about. In Islam, you are not allowed to have any image of Muhammad. So here in the UK, there was a horrific terrorist attack with a parody cartoon.
You mean France?
In France, excuse me. Sorry. We're always talking about the UK. I'm stuck there. A parody cartoon called Charlie Hebdo magazine. They do cartoons, okay? So if they do an image of Mohammed and put it out there, they're now trying to make that illegal only because it offends people who follow Islam, right? The problem with that is it's not even... Like, I could almost follow it if it was, like, images of, like, a bloody Muhammad, like, massacred, like, anything like that. I still believe in your freedom of speech. But I'm just saying, at that point, I could kind of follow it. But the fact that it's just any image of Muhammad, they're trying to make it illegal. You can't draw an image just because this specific religious sect says
it's because this particular religious sect will kill people, behead people, murder people, and blow people up because of it.
It's exactly, they're bowing down to terrorism.
So by Islamophobic cartoons arguing that. So here's the thing. it's kind of like circular logic. So I believe that the best thing to do when somebody is one of the things you can do when there's bad guys is to make fun of them.
Right.
Okay. And they lose their power when you make fun of them. So you make fun of ISIS, or you know, and I wouldn't do it, but I understand. You know, if you're making fun of the guy who goes around beheading people or killing people, like how stupid you are.
Right.
Right. That would be banned so that more people wouldn't go kill people because you're making fun of the people who killed people.
Right.
So, but here's the thing. But you can make fun of conservatives, and you can make fun of Angela Merkel. You can make fun of Boris Johnson. You've seen some of the caricatures that are quite repulsive on, especially like in Germany, they pride themselves on their vulgar depictions of people in power, right? But even Angela Merkel doesn't go around beheading people, so maybe in another way, she does. But they don't want to stir up any hatred.
Linder says they have only been complaining about that for over the last 15 years or so. It's their excuse to terrorize.
Yeah. So they want to create legal protections for philosophical beliefs, and with the commission pointing to humanism as a potentially protected ideology, given the long-standing tradition of humanists opposing blasphemy laws. The Law Commission went on to call for an expansion of the so-called protected classes, saying that attacks on groups such as immigrants, asylum seekers, cross-dressers, sex workers, asexuals, and women should be added to the list of hate crimes. The group claimed that the whole point of the hate crime law is to educate the public, and therefore by criminalizing misogyny, it would serve to remind the British public that negative attitudes toward women aren't acceptable. A columnist for The Spectator, Johanna Williams, wrote, the consultation drips with contempt for the British public. We are either hateful and in need of re-education, or pathetic and in need of protection. I think that's probably your best line there. There's two classes of people.
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. Ben says appeasement didn't work with Nazi Germany.
Andrew Tenenborn, a law professor at Swansea University, called it the Scottish hate crime bill on steroids. We must collectively tell the Law Commission calmly and clearly that they can get stuffed. The enemies of freedom are circling like vultures above the carcass of an antelope, and right now we are the antelope. So, all right.
Okay, we don't really usually talk about antelope unless you're the deer and the antelope play.
So, Deutsche Bank wants to tax people who are working for home, calling it a privilege tax.
I heard about this.
This is hilarious to me. So, while you're stuck not being able to go to work because of the pandemic, we're going to tax you more because guess what? You don't have to, because it's easier for you to make your lunch at home. You don't have to buy it out, and you don't have to pay for gas to travel to work. So we're going to tax you because of that.
So you know what would
privilege tax.
What would make more sense is if you were going to do anything, and I'm not saying that they should do this either, but if you were going to do anything, the people that have to go out and work should get a tax reduction.
Exactly.
Why in the middle of the pandemic are we penalizing anyone for having to do anything?
Right.
We should actually be reducing restrictions, reducing taxes, making things in life easier. It's all about control. They will take money where they can get it.
I like how this Luke Templeman put it. He goes, that's a big problem for the economy. It's as if spending much of your pay on commuting, dry cleaning of clothes, and so on to boost the GDP is something of a civic duty that you must do, right? So this proposed 5% privilege tax to recoup the economy's imagined, quote, loss. Working from home will be part of the new normal well after the pandemic has passed as part of the Great Reset, okay? Our calculations suggest that the amounts raised from taxing home workers, that is like the weirdest sentence I've ever heard, could fund material income subsidies for low-income earners. What's actually funny about this...
It's called theft.
What's actually funny about this is if you work from home, you are better off because usually if you're self-employed, you can write off a bunch of stuff that you can't if you're not. So I would say become an independent contractor if you can. They want to...
yeah, the very idea that you could look at anybody and say they have it better off than someone else, we're going to take from them.
Yeah.
It's called theft.
Yeah.
It's robbery. These people are robbers.
They're looking in Britain to take 7 billion people with the potential to grab 20 billion in Germany and 49 billion in America.
This is why you don't play with communism, kids.
However, how far the rationale for the Deutsche Bank scheme could be pushed is unclear. People who walk or bicycle to work instead of driving or taking the train are also generating less economic output. What's so funny about this is that if you want to encourage people to be greener, it's well known, you make it economically beneficial. And as soon as you put any sort of penalty on it, it hurts people. And they're like, well, maybe I would just rather go and pollute the environment. So here's the thing. If you're working from home and you're making food from home, there are so many different gasoline, petroleum-based, coal-based, power-based things that aren't happening. And with the Green New Deal, they say, and this is why you have to be against it wholeheartedly, they say they want to make the planet greener, but they don't. They just want to control you and make the land full of robots. And
well, here in the United States, if you buy if you buy like an electric vehicle or something like that, okay, you were getting like benefits, okay, but now they have made
they want to tax you because you're not.
They want to tax you because you're not using gasoline,
right?
And it's like, wait, I was just told that I was doing something good by not using gasoline, and now you want to penalize me because you're saying that you're not getting all the road taxes. The road taxes come from the gasoline. I mean, this whole thing is so absurd. They do want to penalize people for doing right things.
Well, also, it's all about control.
Yeah.
It's all about control. Speaking of all about control, top UK politician says that workplace and social venues may ban Britons without vaccination certificates.
Oh, dear.
This is where it's gotten crazy. A senior conservative MP, so globalist right here, right, said it is possible that once mass vaccination is underway, workplaces and social venues may ban entry for those who do not have a certificate to prove they have been vaccinated against COVID-19. This is actually... It's so funny. Donald Trump is a fascist. The neo-Nazis are everywhere.
They're going to control every part of our life. Donald Trump wants to control us, and he's a dictator. And yet
they put so much fear into people that this is what Hitler did. Like, this is fascism.
We know what they say that fascism is if you don't tell us what we have to do, if you don't control us 100%, if you don't keep us in lockdown, if you don't restrict every move of our lives, then you're a dictator.
If vaccination works and we're confident it's safe and all indications so far are good, because, yeah, really? You've had a few months to put this thing together and you're telling me it's good? No. You've had this vaccination in the works for years because you knew this would happen.
Bill Gates had the patent on it. Remember that?
Look, you've got to return to the office, and if you're not vaccinated, you're not coming in. And I can certainly see social venues asking for vaccination certificates. Actually, it goes against every HIPAA law and every medical freedom law.
Right.
No one can ask you for your medical background.
Do they have HIPAA laws in the UK?
I don't know.
That's what it is it's a privacy, your medical information. Like, so if I go into a store and I tell somebody, they say, why aren't you wearing a mask? And I say, I'm exempt. They can't ask me for proof of my exemption because of HIPAA laws, because no one is allowed to ask you about your medical history.
And I can see a situation...
You don't have to present it,
I can see a situation where, yes, of course, you're free not to have the vaccine, but there are consequences.
So wrong.
On whether public government-run services may be denied to those who are not vaccinated, it would depend on what public services were and who and when. So I wouldn't want to start predicting, but I do think that if things are shown to be safe when rejecting them then rejecting them when they have a wider effect on the whole society is going to have consequences.
Immunization bracelets.
Remember when Matt Hancock said there would be immunity certificates for those who had antibodies? That didn't actually happen, did it?
No. Britt Bozza says it's called medical in private here. Good to know. I want you guys to know we have to bring you this stuff that they are attempting to do.
But
it's really important for us for you guys to not get into fear about it, because from where we stand, from our venue, or vantage point, I should say, God is totally about to crush the whole thing. And I mean, totally. That's why they're fighting so hard. They have put all of their eggs in this one basket, and God's about to crush all their eggs. But we still need to bring it to you and tell you what they are trying to do. Barry says, Michelle, in the UK, people can ask you, but you don't have to tell them, and doctors can withhold medical history from the police. That's pretty much what we have here as well. So the vaccine record thing, they would have to, I would assume, in the UK and here in the US or anywhere they tried to implement that, reverse the law. They would have to get rid of or add an amendment to HIPAA law saying that HIPAA law applies except for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah.
It would have to be in law.
So going over to Poland and Sweden, what do these two countries have in common? Absolutely nothing that I know of. However, Sweden is a very liberal country, and Poland just enacted a ban on a further abortion ban on this, not for rape or incest, I believe, or the life of the mother, but for disabilities. Like, you couldn't just abort a baby for disabilities in the womb.
Right.
And so what does Sweden do? The Swedish Green Party proposes taxpayer subsidies in Sweden for Polish abortions.
What?
The Swedish Green Party in southern region of Skåne has proposed that taxpayers pay for subsidies for Polish women who travel to the country for abortions.
Wow.
The Green Party wants Swedish taxpayers to help subsidize abortions for Poland women after Polish court struck down a provision in the law that allowed doctors to perform abortions of children with disabilities last month. Poland only, and here's what's so weird, the green people and the liberal people are all about people with disabilities and special needs and things like that. Right. But when it comes down to it, no, we just want you dead. We really just want you to not be here.
Trust me, little baby in your mommy's womb. You would be better off not coming into this world at all. You'll be happier. Let me press your death button.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. That's how they feel. It's so wrong.
Yeah. No, it is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. All right.
I read a scripture last night. These people, and it was what I was saying about the last night after the march. Antifa came out and started beating up and BLM all of the straggling mega people. And I said to Leah, she showed me some videos, and they were really, really hard to watch. And I said, you have lost any last bit of humanity, what makes you a human inside of you, when they were abusing a mom that had children. The little girl got hurt. They were screaming. I mean, they were hitting. They beat a man with, it wouldn't give him his bike back. I mean, it's ridiculous. They have lost all humanity. So when it comes to these kinds of things, the Bible tells us very clearly that they aren't really human anymore.
No. I mentioned this story earlier, and I recognize that it's a U.S. retail Target, but I wanted this story because it goes along with a story in Canada I want to show you. So this week, Target banned, and then I do believe they unbanned, a book that was critical of trans ideology after social justice warriors complained. Now, this was a book written called Irreversible Damage: The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters by Abigail Schreier. And then after people complained, saying it was anti-trans and things like that, the initial complaint sparking controversy around the book came from a user stating, "I think the trans community deserves a better response from Target as to why they are selling this book about the transgender epidemic sweeping the country." And the user has since made a profile. Target's help desk responded to the complaint saying, "Thank you so much. We have removed this book from our assortment." Target Woke.com just made my book disappear, says Abigail Schreier. Does it bother anyone that woke activists and spineless corporations now determine what Americans are allowed to read, or anybody else? She's been accused of being transphobic by far-left gender activists, despite her work merely dissecting the growing number of girls suddenly identifying as transgender. She says, I wrote specifically about the sudden, severe spike in transgender identification among adolescent girls. I fully support medical transitions for mature adults, and I have no desire to be a provocateur, nor do I have a current interest in others' social lives. What I aim to do as a journalist is to investigate cultural phenomena, and here was one worth investigating. Between 2016 and 2017, the number of females seeking gender surgery quadrupled in the United States. Thousands of teen girls across the Western world are not only self-diagnosing with a real dysphoric condition they likely do not have. In many cases, they are obtaining hormones and surgeries following the most cursory diagnosis process. School teachers, therapists, doctors, surgeons, and medical accreditation organizations are all rubber stamping these transitions, often out of fear that doing otherwise will be reported as a sign of transphobia, despite the growing evidence that most young people who present as trans will eventually desist. And so these interventions will do more harm than good. The notion of this sudden wave of transitioning among teens is worrying. Ideological-driven phenomena is hardly a fringe view.
So what she's essentially saying is, listen, if you're an adult and you want to have a sex change, go on ahead. Do your thing. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason why we don't allow children to vote. There's a reason why we don't allow children to get tattoos. Because when you are a child and your mind is developing, you can't have made decisions that are irrevocable for your adulthood. You have to be an adult before you can make these decisions.
Right.
Okay? That's pretty much what the author is stating.
Right. Exactly. So what I shared that story because there is a good news story, I guess you could say, out of Canada. Because we're doing world news, and Canada is part of the world, so let's go there. A Vancouver Supreme Court judge has ordered a surgeon named Daniel McKee to not proceed with performing a double mastectomy on a trans-identified teenager. The mom asked for a judge's help, and they have stayed this order here of the doctor, but it doesn't stop there. The mother is also suing her children's general practitioner, Dr. Andrea Shubchuk, for allegedly prescribing the teenager testosterone without seeking her guardianship permission. The woman believes that the controversial sexual orientation and gender identity curriculum known as SOGI 123 played a key role in why her child has taken on a new identity. The woman is being defended by a lawyer, Carrie Lind, the same lawyer that is representing a father now facing the possibility of serving prison time for speaking out, a case known as CD versus AD, and we talked about that with the little boy who was like forced to wear dresses and wear nail polish, but then when he was playing with other kids, he was just a boy, and he told the neighborhoods, I'm a boy. But when he's with his mom makes him be a girl. That's child abuse.
Right.
So in this case, the British Columbia Supreme Court judge, Madame Justice Shelley Fitzpatrick, granted a without notice injunction that prevented the surgeon from proceeding with the surgery on the 17-year-old and the general practitioner from providing the child with further counsel regarding the mastectomy until she, I believe, probably turns 18. On November 13th, lawyers representing the doctors will seek in order to hide their names from the public in regards to the case. And then the Rebel News spoke to the mom here.
A Vancouver Supreme Court judge has ordered a surgeon to not proceed with performing a double mastectomy on a trans-identified teenager. And Rebel News is bringing you the first video interview with that minor's mother and her lawyer.
Instead of teaching them science and biology and maybe psychology and how to accept them.
Oh, it's gonna...
Hang on a second.
Did it go?
It will in a second. Wait for it.
Wait for it. It's not going. Where's my volume? It says it's going, but it's not going. Maybe it's... There we go.
Those at this sensitive
age,
they were putting all this mass, I can't call it any other word than propaganda, that here you go, you can change your sex. I mean, they call it gender, but in fact that's what they're trying to say. Okay, cut your breasts and you will become a boy.
By the way, that's not how this
Dre Humphrey
works.
here with Rebel News, informing you about a mother's battle to prevent cosmetic surgeon Dr. Daniel McGee from performing a double mastectomy on her child. In a press release, the child's mother, whom I am legally required to refer to as AM, and also who we are unable to publicly reveal her face, says that she is shocked that the government, through Transcare BC, supports such unscientific and very risky experimentation. Additionally, in person, AM explained to me that she believes a child who changes their name and the clothing to live as a transgender person is completely different than them undergoing such an invasive surgery at the young age of 17. AM's legal counsel, Carrie Linda, worked quickly to defend the mother's concerns, and on November 3rd, a BC Supreme Court judge, Madame Justice Shelley C. Fitzpatrick, granted an injunction that prevents Dr. McKee from going ahead with the surgery and also prevents the teen's general practitioner, Dr. Andrea Shuchek, from giving the teenager, whom we will refer to as SB, any further advice regarding the mastectomy until November 27th. Additionally, AM has also filed a lawsuit against Dr. Shuchek for prescribing testosterone to her teenager without seeking her guardianship permission.
Transgender too.
You may
Dr.
recognize
Andrea.
AM's counsel, Carrie Linda, from his work on a similar case known as CD versus AB. That is the case that involves a father who is now facing the possibility of serving prison time for speaking out about his journey to try and protect his transgender child from using life-altering sex cross-hormone treatments while being a minor. Now, you can find that full story at rebelnews.com, but for now, let's get the full report from AM regarding her concerns for the well-being of her.
So you can go to Rebel News and you can see this full report. I thought that, people are fighting back. We have here in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Children's Hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And they are constantly
They devoted a whole wing
advertising for this money-making, childhood altering
And here's the
scheme.
problem that we're seeing is they're building these giant wings and then they advertise
Right.
because they need to
got
actually
it.
fill it with patients that don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to drum up issues with children by advertising, causing parents to go, well, maybe I should investigate, I don't know. And then they like, oh, let me just take them to children. Well, don't take them to children's because if your child is not confused, they will make them confused.
Right, and so I don't want to bring you
purpose.
depressing news, but I want you to be equipped, and I want you to know deep in your soul that this is wrong, and it's part of the Agenda 2030 to get as many people to not breed, and if they can
Right.
take your organs out, then you won't be, and that's why they're targeting girls, so that they won't have children, and they can depopulate the world.
Right, but we are winning. We are winning this fight.
Because
Trust
here's
me.
the thing.
People have woken up
Yeah.
to the
And
fact that this is
unfortunately,
happening, and they have not woken up too late.
Unfortunately, YouTube is filled with young girls and young men who have had these surgeries.
I know.
And they regret them.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you want to see happen, but it is something
It's helpful
that
to have those videos
it
out
is
there.
something that every single transgender child who thinks they're transgender should watch over and over and over again, because you don't even know who you are or what you want to be. Kids in college change
They're major.
major several times. Now, also in Canada, Mennonite churches and schools are singled out for COVID closures in Ontario. We saw the same thing with Jewish people in New York City, but Old Order Mennonites in Ontario's Wellington, Dufferin, Gulf region have been ordered to shut down their schools and churches in response to COVID-19 restrictions. Local medical officer Nicola Mercer has also ordered the community to follow government health instructions and gathering restrictions. The directive was issued earlier this day and just singles out Old Order Mennonites. That's where we get our raw milk from, Old Order Mennonites. I'm saddened by the need for this extraordinary step, he said. I do not like taking the issue of Section 22 orders lightly, but COVID-19 poses a serious health risk to the Old Order Mennonite community. I'm sure he's really concerned about them. They'll be just fine. Public Health said that along with the increase in cases and two unknown outbreaks of COVID-19, the uptake of public health measures has been low. It added that cases have been confirmed in the Old Order Mennonite community, but healthcare workers cannot conduct contact tracing. So it says that the public health reports there are 101 active cases in Guelph and Wellington, and that 2 people were in the hospital. In total, since March, there have been 1,000 cases. There have been 38 deaths, and the public health says 869 cases are considered resolved. It says Waterloo notes that the estimated 59,000 Mennonites in Ontario, only about 20% are members of the conservative groups, the Old Order Mennonites, and so these people are being singled out particularly for restrictions.
And I think it's because they are the kind of last line of freedom, because we can actually kind of invoke some of the laws that protect them, like we did here on our property. We use the threat of forming a food church, essentially a religion here, and then they back down because they didn't want to have to go down that road. But a lot of laws are afforded to these people that live this way, and if their rights are infringed upon, then they can trample over everybody.
Yeah,
it's the last bastion.
So I'm going to go to a topic that is kind of weird to me. I don't like the idea of people growing mink animals for fur in these like factory farms. I feel like it's wrong.
Yeah. And
it's just horrible. But there have been reports that the mink are getting coronavirus. And so Greece slaughters its mink. The call starts with 25,000 animals that have caught coronavirus as Danish farmers demand end to killing of 17 million. So I did not know there was that many.
I didn't either.
Greece has ordered the call after 25,000 minks were infected with coronavirus. I don't know how that they knew that they were infected and how they tested them. In total, Greece has 1.3 million mink, but no total call has been ordered. Denmark also ordered a call of 17 million farmed mink after animals were infected with coronavirus. The virus, quote unquote, mutated, and then it was passed back into humans.
What? Okay, so, all right. I'm not saying I don't believe this Daily Mail article.
So do you think maybe it's just like green people, like who don't, I don't know.
No, but I want to be really wary of it because in the very beginning when coronavirus was coming out, this kind of reminds me of the bat story.
Yeah.
Like
bat soup. It came from a lab.
The research that we have done, deep research, is that these things are not jumping like that. To do from the animal to the human cross is a really big deal. So I'm not sure how much I'm buying.
I don't buy that. No.
Buying this, it's jumping from the mink to the humans.
No, this is some other social
if they are getting a virus that's producing symptoms, okay, we do know for a fact that these tests that are being done on humans for the coronavirus are so they can single out like the tiniest little thing, and then all of a sudden you have coronavirus, even if you have just like a part of it. You know what I'm saying? There could be a strand that's in whatever the mink are getting. That's the same thing in coronavirus.
So here's what happened. Athenos Lengas of Greece's Fur Breeding Association said Friday that the animals were tested after the farm's owners were found to be infected with the virus. Some 300 breeders have been tested for the coronavirus and 10 found to be positive. More than 80 farms were located in northern Greece with more than 1.3 million mink. So far, there has been no indication that Greece will cull its entire mink population. It says that, meanwhile, Danish farmers have demanded the end to a call of 17 million minks over a coronavirus outbreak with no new cases of people infected with the mutant. Mutants have been recorded. A large group of farmers took to the road in tractors to take part of a demonstration against the cull. It does not look to me that the animals had symptoms.
All right, so Barry says, Michelle, mink and ferrets are from the same family, and it's a known fact in the UK from people that keep ferrets that flu can transfer between the owners and the ferrets. That's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, but so the minks, you're saying that minks and ferrets can get the flu, but these results, I don't see anything in this article that says anything about the minks showing any sort of symptoms. And so we know that the testings are array. And just because the farmer had some symptoms, we don't even know if the farmers literally had COVID. This is not okay the way we're living. It's a guessing game. It's a guessing game.
So Wade says, I live in Canada. Canada is China and IMF Chutoy. Canada and IMF Chutoy. I can see Canada being used as a staging ground for communist troops worldwide. Beware of Canada, USA. Thank you for that, Wade.
The Scottish hate crime bill could criminalize inflammatory Bible. A sloppy word hate crime bill, we talked about this in Scotland, could undermine free speech and unfairly stigmatize people of faith. The Christian Institute warned. The Christian Institute's Deputy Director, Ciaran Kelly, said on Friday that the proposed legislation risks creating a chilling effect on free speech because of the ambiguity. There you go, of the language and lack of protections of basic freedoms. The new offenses cover abusive behavior intended to stir up hatred, but no explanation is given to what these terms actually mean. Would it be abusive and hateful to quote the Bible's teaching on marriage, gender, or sexual ethics? Some groups would say yes, there is a real risk of malicious reports from activists who wish to stop Christians expressing their beliefs. Provisions on inflammatory material could be used against Christian books, sermons, and church ministers, and that is exactly what they're going after there in Scotland, so stand up for your freedoms.
Freedom! I mean, come on, just go watch Braveheart.
Okay, so this is great. You guys are gonna get kicked out of this. So, I did not know this. This might be new to you. They're filming a Matrix 4.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No. This is Babylon B.
No.
This is Babylon B.
No.
It can't be real.
No.
But why?
I don't know. But Keanu Reeves is in Germany filming The Matrix 4. And they wanted to have a party. And they have a permit to make the movie and do whatever it takes to make the movie. Okay, so rules for me, not for thee. So what they did is they held a fake stage, like a party, like it was supposed to be in the movie, but it wasn't filmed and it's not in the movie. So they could hold a party. It's fantastic. What? All right. Matrix 4 cast and crew avoid German ban on parties by filming one. The cast and crew of the upcoming Matrix 4 film skirted Germany's ban on parties and large social gatherings by reportedly throwing a party scene in the movie. According to the newspaper Dild, the some 200 actors and production crew were treated to a wrap party at the studio Babelsberg in Potsdam, Berlin. The party reportedly featured everything from a DJ to pyrotechnics and a packed dance floor, all the way through to tattoo stations and food caravans handing out sushi and desserts.
But wait a minute. If it's supposed to be like filmed for the movie, then that means nobody had to wear a mask either, right?
Well, get this. Among those present at the party were lead actor Keanu Reeves and his girlfriend Alexandra Grant, who were drinking a bottle of wine. The franchise's creators were there, spotted at the bash. The mood was exuberant, said one attendee. There was a rapid test for everyone. Everyone had to come with a mask, but many didn't wear them later. Meanwhile, Studio Babelsberg spokesperson suggested that the event avoided violation of Germany's current lockdown measures as it was part of filming. However, attendees have since claimed that no shooting took place during the party. According to the production, it was the last day of shooting. It was a celebration scene. Hygiene requirements were adhered to. The production deliberately put this shoot with many people involved at the end of the shoot. Under Germany's current lockdown rules, indoor events are only allowed after registration with approved hygiene concept and a maximum of 50 people with masks and distance. The event points to what some are calling a double standard, and I think it's great that they did this, but I think we should all do it.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Baker Mom says it's true. Michelle Matrix 4 is coming. It ended nicely after 3. I like what Roger says here about the mink. This is just the first step to scare people into being willing to destroy our agriculture. Next, tomatoes grown in your garden will be positive for COVID.
Yeah,
that's a really good point.
That could be. I wouldn't put it past them for real. So, a barista...
Or not even just your tomatoes, but like we keep pigs and chickens, and then they could just go around testing your animals, and then all of a sudden telling these small-time farmers they have to
So I'm not promoting any tattoos or anything in this article, but his invocation, this tattoo artist's invocation of natural law or common law, I should say, Aaron Walton, very interesting because his shop is still open. We'll see as far as after this article if it really is in Bristol. Police and Bristol City Council responded that they would ensure the rules are followed, but the tattoo parlor has continued to be open since restrictions came into effect on November 5th. And so I'm going to play for you this video here, a little bit of it, to how he responds to...
Hello! How can I help?
Sorry?
How can I help?
I just need to come and check that you're not in breach of any COVID legislation.
See, the thing is, could you just read this?
Yeah.
Could you read that? Could you read it out loud, please?
See what it says?
Could I have your name, please?
Tracy Ward.
And it's 1746. Tracy, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to answer any questions. I do not consent, and I stand under a common law jurisdiction.
Yeah.
The COVID regulations are not law, and by you trying to enforce law, trying to enforce the COVID regulations as law, you are helping comply with treason and tyranny. Now, I'm just going to give you a warning today, because I have made it quite clear on my Instagram account that I will be issuing £10,000 fines for any more police visits today, because you guys have had 7 days an opportunity to come back once I serve papers on the 4th of November to 4739 Clark, saying that I wish to see evidence, which is on the windows if you'd like to take a look. I think they've sent you in as a lamb to the slaughter, knowing that I'm going to be issuing fines today. So I'm just going to, on the goodness of my heart, I'm not going to issue you, because I have an affidavit of truth that I can take claims and hold you personally accountable in a common law court with a jury of 12 of my peers, and hold you personally accountable. You are a service corporation. You are a public servant. You do not rule us. You're meant to be serving us. I'm trying to be so respectful. I have a business to run. I have 6 children to feed. What this lockdown is illegal. And I just want to make this clear, because I'm asking you to use your discretion, and I'm asking you to use your conscience, right? This lockdown is illegal and unlawful, and anyone that complies with this is going to be held accountable too once all this is gone through. There's a lot of common law specialists helping to end this tyranny and bring justice to the MPs of Parliament. 657 of them that signed the coronavirus bill are going to be held accountable for treason, fraud and genocide, and anyone that complies with that is going to be held accountable too. And I'd just like to remind you, are you on your oath of office? Are you on your oath of office, please? You are. So if you're on your oath of office, you swore your oath under common law to protect my human rights, to use discretion, to use your conscience. Under common law, you swore an oath. You also swore an allegiance to the Queen, not the government. So I would like to ask you, I'm just going to give you the warning, because I appreciate you've just been sent here. I'm going to ask you to leave, and I'm not going to issue a 10 grand fine, but if you do come back, I will be putting your details on my affidavit, and I'll be holding you responsible and fining you £10,000.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
That's not the response I obviously thought I was going to get.
I know, this is why I appreciate they've sent you in. What I'm saying is truthful.
Do you want to write my details down to say that I've been here?
Could you...
Write my collar number down.
And can we make a note? I would rather you...
I did not know this was the response I was obviously going to get.
They've sent you in, and I know this and I understand this. I want you guys on our side. There's been a mass fraud on each and every one of us, right, from birth. So you have a birth certificate, right? Your birth certificate has two dates on it. It has your birth date and it has your registration date. They have opened corporations in your name, and they have been earning money off your sweat equity from birth. They've been doing this since 1666. Now we have this truth and we have this evidence, and this is what we're trying to bring down. This isn't just me solely on my own. I have people backing me worldwide, and they're all doing the same things in other countries, right?
Oh my gosh.
I'm asking you, do the right thing.
Okay, write down 1420.
1420, and I really appreciate this chat. 1420, today's date.
That I've attended. So 1746. Tracy Ward.
Tracy Ward.
In Kenneth Still House.
Kenneth Stillhouse. How'd you spell that?
Kenneth. So Kenneth.
Oh, Kenneth.
Yeah, Steele. Steele House.
And
Down the feeder. That's where I'm based.
and it's 14:20.
And that I visited.
Yes, and I appreciate.
Any breach of any COVID legislation.
They tried to serve me a prohibition order, which is fraudulent. I've actually got evidence on Bristol City Council for fraud, mail fraud, right? And anyone that complies with them are going to be really. I mean, I've got proper people involved. I'm not talking out my bum.
Have you spoken to any of our bosses?
This is my 7th visit.
Oh, okay.
I've actually served, right, that notice there, notice of obligation. A notice of obligation under constitutional law. It's 41 pages long, with 31 of them pages of evidence of treason, fraud, and genocide. We're asking the police to look into this. The government are treasonous right now. We are in lawful dissent. So when the government's treasonous, we have a duty to stand up and make sure that we are governed properly. We are not being governed properly.
You're obviously the owner here, though.
I do not answer any questions.
Alright, that's fine. Because I just need to put down that I've spoken to
You've
someone.
definitely spoken to me. They'll see that you've spoken to me.
I've spoken to someone here today. You've got my details
Yes.
today, and then I just feed it back in.
And Tracy, I really appreciate this chat, and I will not be issuing you a 10 grand fine now that I've made you aware.
Right.
If you come back, I will though.
Okay.
All right. So that's just to help you out in your job, and I will, and I have got the. I can do it. It's 100%.
That's fine, but I had to come in, didn't
I appreciate that totally, Tracy.
So that's fine. But as long as you got my details and you're happy with that, then I'm going to go.
That's great. I will not bother you again. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Now that was what you call a nice police officer.
That was perfect. I must commend. Thank you so much.
Did you guys hear what I did when she said that she'd come and there was no COVID violations here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I heard that. Anything
So
else
anyway,
before I end?
I'm not going to issue her because she's quite respectful, and I think that the police have sent her in not knowing. She just admitted it herself. She's been sent in like a lamb to the slaughter to see if I would put a fine on her. And the only reason I haven't put a fine on her is because I thought I'd give her the opportunity to give her a warning that when they come back, if she comes back, I will issue her a fine. I have all her details. I'm quite lawfully allowed to do it, and that's what will happen. It'll be a £10,000 penalty fee for taking up my time, and also I'll be making extra claims for harassment, for get arrested. It'll be an extra thing for kidnap. So there's numerous things we can do, guys. You just gotta have to stand your ground. She knew then that she'd been screwed over. You could tell, and that's why she's given her details. She was very compliant. That was a proper public servant. Yes. That is the response I want to see from the police. I'm begging you, police. I'm not actually begging you. I'm pleading with you. You need to use your conscience. You need to use your discretion. Something in your soul will tell you that this is not right, and you know it. Just remember, you swore an allegiance to the Queen, not the government, and you swore your oath under common law. And I and everyone else that are we the people stand under common law jurisdiction. You have no jurisdiction here. I am going to make it quite clear. I've now issued a warning to any future visits from any...
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Patriot got a kick out of that.
I love it. And what he's saying is so interesting about public servant, right? Because I think it's important for us to recognize that they work for us. They are not our overlords, okay? We pay their salary. They are supposed to be a public servant. So then when they come to us, they should not come to us with, I have this air of authority and I'm looking down on you. They should say, how can I help you?
Yeah, right. So here we have some more people protesting in Bristol.
To try and push a different kind of voice of what's happening. We're not here to be the next mainstream media. We're here today to make noise. That's the reason we're here. The same as every other person around the world that is walking out on the streets today to make noise. We've had enough.
I think he might be cursing there, but it's got an accent, so.
I want to hug my nanny.
Yeah.
Fear is a currency of control. Freedom over fear.
Surely, nobody is. They're just accepting it's the truth, and it's not. It's lies. It's not hard to find the truth, and we're just here to sort of voice that, like I hope everyone else does. You know, at the end of the day, not enough. Really? Had enough.
Jeff Bread says, you can't take away natural rights. Mikey B says, common law exists, but there's no common law court. Wade says, the world is about to lose all rights. You know, they're trying, but this. You'll see it in Australia. You see it in the UK. People are fighting this.
This is scuffles that broke out yesterday in Bristol.
We've been seeing it for the past several weekends. People are not going to put up with this. They're just not. And they are going to have to back down. Mm-hmm. You can't have people constantly protesting and causing all of this ruckus without having to change. They can't keep locking people down. It's just not going to happen.
They can't keep the human spirit down, I would say. The human spirit is way stronger.
They actually made a big mistake here when they released this, whatever this coronavirus was, because they needed to do something that was far more severe and far more deadly to achieve their cause. Mm-hmm. They needed to make it so that everyone was weak and people were dying right and left. Yeah. Because then they actually would have succeeded. Yeah. But you know why they didn't do that? Because then they'd catch it and die. And they don't want to. And they're terrified.
Right. Exactly. So, Barry keeps wanting me to share with you guys the fact that Joe Biden has these links to the IRA. And here he is pictured, and I didn't know who these people were, so I had to read the articles and kind of get a grasp understanding who these people were. This is Jerry Adams and the IRA chief who tried to kill an army officer, and this picture is with Joe Biden, as a former Sinn Féin president says they discussed a united Ireland together with Joe Biden. Like, talk about violating the Logan Act. You want to unite Ireland again? Take Ireland away from the UK? Like, this is Joe Biden right now? This is so crazy. Remember, Joe Biden has warned Boris Johnson that if Brexit undermines the Good Friday Agreement, there will be no trade deal with the United States. But as Joe Biden inched closer at the White House, they said, this was an article that I don't know if I went over last week. His much trumped up Irish roots were placed under the spotlight.
Now, speaking of this, though, there's that weird clip that happened last week where the BBC asked Joe Biden for a comment, and he says to them, he laughs like, I'm not going to give you, he doesn't say I'm not going to give you a comment, but it's inferred, I'm not going to give you, he's like, I'm Irish. And it almost kind of, now that we're talking about this, it kind of feels like, is that kind of like a, under the
No,
the
he is
cover
for
thing, like
Ireland leaving the UK.
Right. He is literally siding with the IRA. Over the UK, which I find fascinating.
Really fascinating, yeah. So this was taken just 3 years ago. The image sparked warnings from UK politicians that Mr. Biden needs to be more cautious of who he associates with. No. He knew exactly who he's meeting with. You don't meet with random IRA leaders who kill people, right?
Well, it's like meeting with the mafia and then someone saying, you should be more cautious about who you meet with.
Mr. Biden has previously spoken with pride about his Irish Catholic roots in his Pennsylvania birthplace. And then he traveled to County Mayo in 2016 to visit distant relatives. However, and we are actually distantly Irish, you didn't know that. My grandma's last name was Dyer, and she went to Ireland to visit distant relatives as well. However, the notoriously gaffe-prone ex-senator sparked fury the year before when he quipped to an Irish delegation that no one wearing orange was welcome in his house on St. Patrick's Day, a comment seen as a slur against Protestants.
Wow. Okay, I love that this article calls him the former senator, not the former vice president.
Mr. Biden was photographed alongside former Sinn Féin
picture. This is how I kind of envision
President Mr. Adams with his arm around the party's then U.S. Representative Rita O'Hare in 2017. In 1972, she was arrested. Rita O'Hare was arrested in Northern Ireland for the attempted murder of a British Army officer in Belfast the previous year. After released on bail, she fled to Dublin, where the Irish High Court ruled she could not be extradited to the UK because of her alleged offense was, quote, political. She's believed to be among almost 200 IRA suspects told they would not face prosecution by Tony Blair's government. I think we went over this last week, but I'm going to go over it again. Sharing the photograph on Twitter in September 2017, Mr. Adams wrote that he had a good conversation with Mr. Biden about the Northern talks under a United Ireland and Brexit. Speaking after the meeting, Mr. Adams said that he lobbied for his help in asking the Trump administration to appoint a special envoy for a peace process. We also spoke of the potentially very damaging effect of Brexit on the island of Ireland, and in particularly the implications for the border and the Good Friday Agreement. Republican supporters in the Irish American lobby are understood to see the prospect of a Biden presidency as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Irish unity.
Wow.
And Mr. Adams telling a rally if in the summer it was now a doable project. The 72-year-old also faced claims that for years he was a member of the IRA's ruling Army Council, but is denied denied being part of the group. In 2008, President-elect Barack Obama, under whom Mr. Biden served as vice president for 2 terms, was accused of a lapse of judgment by unionists after he had his picture taken with the same 2 people. It's really hard to get around
lapse
the president.
Of judgment.
Okay, and the vice president. Okay, but no. And then the image prompted similar warnings there. So that's something to look at. And they discussed a united Ireland. So he says he discussed with Joe Biden a united Ireland.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, a united Ireland.
So Joe Biden we keep finding him dipped and steeped in every area of the world with the worst. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's like he's like fly to poo or something. Okay, I mean it's like he's just drawn to it. You notice that Joe Biden doesn't have any alliances or allegiances with anyone in this world that's actually good. Okay, or on the side of freedom. That should tell you all you need to know. He's found with the most corrupt. Right. So it should come as no surprise.
Right.
Whatsoever.
Right. Let me play this clip here about COVID patients are using 3% of hospital beds in Alberta.
Currently, 200 out of 8,500 are being used by COVID patients. So COVID patients are using 3% of the hospital beds in Alberta. And here these doctors are saying that, we're on the brink of being overrun. The other big one is that they are not making any reference to the COVID death stats, and these are down from the peak in April, May. COVID was like a wave. You can look at the Italian, American, British, Alberta, Ontario, every jurisdiction. There was a wave of deaths when the virus kind of spiked, and that was in April, May. Deaths dropped off sharply in June, and they stayed low in July, August, September, October, into November. The deaths are not, there is no second wave of COVID deaths. That is not my opinion. That is what the government data says. And yet these doctors are pandering in panic to make everybody afraid of dying of COVID when there is no second wave of COVID deaths.
Yeah. Well, I look at the stats every day, and you have to clear through the cases. Everyone wants to talk about cases because they don't want to talk about the hospitalization rate or the death rate. But even still, 92% of the cases are in Quebec and Ontario, which is much more than those provinces' share of the population. By the way, Quebec is out of control for whatever reason. It's got 61% of all the deaths in this country. My theory is it has to do with their euthanasia laws, their assisted suicide laws, and their do not revive policies in seniors' homes. I mean, my view is that this isn't so much a disease of the population or even a disease of seniors. It's a disease of seniors' homes with do not revive instruction.
That's super scary, Ezra. Oh my gosh.
They want to kill the old people.
That's what I said. What did I say earlier in the show?
That's why they don't allow the family
What did I say earlier in the show?
Right.
I said, don't believe these people. This is coming from the people that we know want to kill old people, that we know want to kill people, that want the population diminished. You can't believe a word these people say.
Yeah. All right. So Nigel Farage here Boris wants a
Nigel.
taxpayer-funded Green New Deal that will appease Queen Carrie and Zach Goldsmith. I don't know who they are, but maybe you do. But the voters who put him into power want a real Brexit, strict immigration controls, and well-paid jobs in the industry. The Prime Minister has lost the plot. He says Met Police has its priorities all wrong again. Deal with knife crime, not neighborhood sneaks. Because they said, you can tell us about a breach of COVID rules online. Please make sure you understand what this is and is not allowed before you get in touch with us. And then he says...
And knife crime is no funny business, because if you get stabbed, it hurts. I know.
Yeah. Has Boris Johnson forgotten who his voters are? Jim Pickard says the big Johnson Green speech is now happening this week. A ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars from 2030. Remember, we're going to talk about right now, 2 seconds, 2030, 2030, 2030. More support for nuclear carbon capture and storage, hydrogen, wind power, insulation, etc. And he says, now we see that the post-transition terms are to be delayed in Northern Ireland. Is delay now possible for the rest of UK too? That would be a total sellout. This UK Express says, Brexit transition extension, UK and EU plan delay of new rules. And then he says, over 3,000 people apply to be candidates for Nigel Farage's new Reform Party in just 11 days.
Wow.
So he's not done yet. Nigel is not done yet.
Love that man.
Andrew. Then he tweets out Andrew Adonis, who says, "It is my view that when we rejoin the European Union, we should also rejoin the euro. Probably we won't be able to rejoin on any other terms anyway." So the leavers are leaving Downing Street, but Nigel is not. He's not backing down. He's not backing down. Ooh, lifetime pub ban for Warrington MP who backed the 10 p.m. curfew. Ain't coming to get a drink from here. We don't want you here. Oh all right, so this is what I want to spend a good portion of the show on. Because I feel like I'm late to the party for some reason. Because
but we've been talking about it.
Yeah, but it didn't drip down inside of me like it did today, and I want to share that with you because it's going to empower you to stand up and to fight and to know who you're fighting. Okay, because this whole thing was designed for this great reset that they have been planning for years, and it's called by the World Economic Forum. This plan, it was Agenda 21, but it's by 2030. And we talked about it a little bit last week. Now, if you guys watch us or when you watch Lynette Zhang, this is something that I haven't been able to grasp, haven't been able to understand. But I'm going to show you a couple videos and maybe you'll understand it. They want to make it so that you and I don't own anything. And it's very interesting. This great reset, world leaders' radical plan to transform the economy.
Now, this article is from back in June, I think.
Yes. I'm putting this all together. Yeah, this is understanding that they needed the coronavirus because now they have an economic destruction that they needed to demolish the building. Yeah. And so when you see all of the lockdowns, they need the lockdowns to hammer and hinder the economy. So let me play a few of these videos. All right, so this is the Great Reset. We played this in June. This is the World Economic Forum. This is how they already had this planned out.
Is this a promotional video?
This is a promotion. These are all their propaganda videos. Okay?
They're trying to sell you on what they want.
Yes. Oh my gosh, COVID. Thunderstorms, wildfires, riots. Our world has changed. Now we have 3D printing. We have Zoom calls. Our challenges are greater hurricanes. We have pollution. Our fragilities have been exposed. We can't even see grandma. People going through trash. Our systems need a reset. Monetary reset. Everyone has a role to play. Look at all the happy people. Babies. Wind. Look at that. Looks really... Oh, into space. NASA. Waterfalls. Greenery. Fish. forests. The Great Reset.
Mikey B, I don't know what comment that you just left, but I'm being told on my end that your comment was deleted by the Google moderator team. I have never seen that before. So, everyone, try to be careful with what you say in the chat. I'm totally creeped out by the fact, Google monitor team, if you're watching right now, that's
Hi.
creepy. It's very creepy. You all should issue like a message saying we're going to start doing this. That's very strange.
So here is what they want. This is from October of this year. This is how they want future jobs to look like. So COVID-19 is one of the biggest crises of all time is how they started out.
COVID-19 is one of the biggest crises of our time. It has impacted every single one of us, shaken our social systems, and disrupted every sector of our economies. The automation of work, combined with a global recession, led workers to lose their jobs at an accelerated pace compared to previous years. And this trend is expected to continue. The ongoing shift in the division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms might displace 85 million jobs worldwide in the next 5 years, while 97 million new roles, ones that are more adapted to this new task distribution, may emerge. By 2025, companies expect to displace roughly 6% of their total workforce. 1 in 2 workers will need reskilling. And those remaining in their current roles will need to update 40% of their skill set to adapt to the changing labor market. There is a way to collectively benefit from these challenging times. Decades of research have shown that the most valuable asset of any economy or company is its human capital.
Human capital.
Around the globe, companies are already experiencing a shortage in relevant skills for future roles and are investing in reskilling and upskilling their workforce. By 2025, organizations say they will train over 70% of their employees to ensure they can smoothly transition into the jobs of tomorrow. These include DevOps engineers, artificial intelligence specialists, digital marketing managers, talent acquisition specialists, and customer success specialists. It will take on average between 2 weeks and 5 months for workers to pick up new skills, allowing them to move into these new roles. But data shows they won't need to have the perfect skill set to start transitioning. While 2/3 of employers expect to get a return on investment in employees' reskilling programs within just 1 year, governments will also need to step in to update and fund education and training systems, and to ensure displaced workers have adequate safety nets. With purposeful leadership and collaboration, we can turn this global crisis into a unique opportunity.
But everyone's wearing a mask.
A future of jobs that is inclusive, fair, and sustainable.
Inclusive, fair, sustainable. Notice the words.
The creepiest thing, okay? Essentially, if you want to do anything that you feel, it's no longer like America is the land of you can dream it, you can be it. I'm sorry. You're going to have to put your dreams on hold for forever.
Yeah.
Because we need you, because you aren't your own person. You're part of our human capital. And you belong to us. And we decide where we want to put you.
Exactly. It's communism.
And you can be trained for these new specialized positions. And it will only take a few weeks to be able to be trained to learn these new skill sets. For these new jobs.
Charles Klaus Schwab, Soros's evil twin, who runs the World Economic Forum. I wanted you to hear, we played this earlier, but there's something very key that he says here that I want you to pick out.
November. But what we know is that we will end up with many more unemployed, and particularly also people in the grey economy, which are not counted for, who lose their jobs. So we will see definitively a lot of anger already now, but probably increased by the end of the year, because this crisis will be with us until we really have found a remedy. So we have to prepare for a more angry world, and how to prepare? It means to take the necessary action to create a fairer world.
He says that it's going to make people angry, and we have to be prepared for an angrier world.
To see that
Biden's dark winter.
Right.
He was
provide everybody with decent access to the health system, that we make sure that those people who are really left behind, and I'm not speaking only on national levels, I'm speaking also internationally. If I see now the tragedy in some of the emerging countries like South Africa.
I'm going to stop that there. I just wanted you to hear him say how
Oh my
people are going to get angrier because what we're doing to them. Now, I'm not going to play this, but this is Davos in 2016, a social contract to transform our world by 2030. So you can't tell me that in 2016 you were on track for this great global reset, monetary reset, that by 2030 we wouldn't own anything, and then it just so happens that coronavirus was accidentally something that, wow, we were on 2020 and we had 10 years to get to our goal, and this coronavirus came around and we just had to lock everything down. We just had to lock everybody up, and we just had to crash the economy. And wow, isn't this great opportunity to do something that we've been planning for decades?
So if you want people for these new jobs, right, these 70% of jobs, first of all, you have to pull them from their jobs that they currently have and make them desperate enough to do things that require us to sit behind computers and not live outside in the real world.
Yeah, what they're talking about doing they're talking about robots doing everything. Now, here's this I think the last video I have for you is from June of this year, where they said why we need to rethink capitalism after the coronavirus pandemic. You can read the...
3 experts explain why... Oh, okay. To build a better world that works for everyone, not just the privileged.
We want an end to the profit at all costs mentality. Because if we don't build
Sharon Burrow, General Secretary of International Trade.
In a sustainable frame where we are respectful of our planetary boundaries and the need to change our energy and technology systems to have a living planet for human beings. The world could fund it right now, and yet 70% of the world's people have no social protection. That's respectful of public services and not simply trying to make profit off them.
I believe it is very important for countries to recognize that, there are some essential services that need to be provided in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, in terms of good governance, in terms of social safety, that cannot be compromised on. This is a virus that doesn't respect borders. It crosses borders, and as long as it is in full strength in any part of the world, it's affecting everybody else. So this requires global cooperation to deal with it. Countries, they have to find ways of raising revenues, and progressive taxation could be one form of it. We talked about solidarity tax that may be needed in some countries. Nature strikes in ways that we cannot imagine, and we've seen one. And climate change is could be even worse.
With a human hand in it.
And so we have to prepare for that. But the question is, how do we get a much more planet-friendly way of doing economic activity? What is needed, of course, is to ramp up production of alternative forms of
Here's
energy.
Your answer.
Second, to have infrastructure that's much more climate-friendly. And in both these measures, the public sector can play a very big role.
We set up a new world order after World War II. We're now in a different world than we were then. What can we be doing differently? And the World Economic Forum, I think, has a big responsibility in that as well, to be pushing the reset button and looking at how to create well-being for people and for the earth. I think the key is to put the health of people and the planet first. And that's what's happening on COVID-19.
No, not
and
really.
That's what has not yet happened on climate change in many cases, because the fossil fuel interests and the large industrial farming interests, they want to keep things the way that they are. There's big vested interests that want their health to come before people's health and the planet's health. And what we're learning from this crisis and pandemic is it is possible to switch it.
So that's supposed to be a very compelling video. Mm-hmm. Now, for those of us that get it and understand it, we can see that these people don't actually have our best interest in heart.
No, did you see small family farms there?
Exactly.
No, you saw miles worth of solar panels, and we know that solar panels just creating the solar panels, you have to use fossil fuels to create them, and then they don't go back into the earth. Have you seen the windmill graveyards? Okay,
do you know how much fossil fuels and energy it takes to create one of those wind turbines?
Yeah, so this is from Ryan
It's
Christian.
not green. They just
Humans
make
Are Free.
you think that it is.
The United Nations released its 2030 agenda on what is calling a new universal agenda for humanity. Many are calling this the first public declaration of the long-feared New World Order. And originally, a plan called Agenda 21 was released by the UN with a primary focus solely on environmental issues. That plan is now morphed into Agenda 2030 and is being labeled Agenda 21 on steroids, which is why Joe Biden seemed to have skated into the president-elect without doing any sort of campaigning or anything. Why AOC
Why he
and all
admitted,
these people,
I don't need you before the election. I don't need you
after, right? This new agenda now addresses virtually all areas of human activity and is truly a blueprint for global governance. At first glance, this agenda appears to be combating every serious problem on the global stage. Yet, when one delves deeper into the logistics of the plan, it becomes clear that the act of suggesting what should be done and having a solution to a problem are two very different things. To throw up a lofty goal such as end poverty in all its forms is substantially different from actually having a solution to this problem. The agenda does list sub-goals within the plan, yet these are objective goals that would have already been achieved if simply agreeing on them would have solved the problem, such as ensure significant mobilization of resources from a variety of sources. These people are word salads that means nothing. This is incredibly vague, and it's something that no one will disagree on, which is the point. Again, actually making this happen is the same problem as before and places the agenda back in square one. It's as if to suggest that up until now, no one has officially decided to end poverty. And now that a global agenda has been declared, that poverty ending plan will be shared with all in need. This raises the obvious question: what happens to the countries that decide not to participate? Will their country be exempt from the universal poverty ending plan? As far as the media is concerned, these topics are not very important. It is quite odd that such a plan of relevance, such magnitude, is being completely disregarded by the mainstream media. This entire planet is going to be committing to work toward 17 mutual goals, and there has been a complete media blackout. Most Americans are unaware of this worldwide global agenda, and that it itself should be alarming. A lack of reporting on a specific topic by the corporate media is a telltale sign that is actually newsworthy. So these bullet point goals and their ambiguous means in which to reach the end result have endless openings to be abused by the very same officials, and which abuse every opportunity that is presented to them. The UN document promises that this plan will transform our world for the better by 2030, and yet very few Americans have even heard of the 2030 agenda at this point. Instead, most of us seem to be totally obsessed with the latest celebrity gossip. This is from Zero Hedge. So their goal: end poverty in all its forms. Translation: centralized banks, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, Fed to control all finances, digital one world currency, and a cashless society. So what they had to do is they had to break us down, get us to try to work from home and buy all our stuff from Amazon so they could control everything that you have. Because if you buy from a merchant, you're not going to be able to digitize that. But if you buy like from face-to-face transactions, but if you buy online, then it can be digitized. And as Michelle was telling me earlier, she's like, this is what it works. They're going to promise you that, like, let's say you go to Kohl's, but if you use their digital currency, you can go and you can buy $500 worth of stuff. They kind of still own it, but you buy it like for nothing. If they still own it, you can still bring home the stuff.
Right.
And that's how, but they will own it. Now then what happens is they own you. And so what I envision is knocks on the door. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take your home. I'll take your stuff. And then it's no longer yours anymore. Right. Once you're comfortable, once you think you have what you need, and that's what the digital currency is all about. And it's like, it's really creepy. It's really creepy. Number 2, end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Translation: GMO. Who is promoting GMOs is Bill Gates. who is also, why is Greenpeace working with the International Monetary Fund and Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum when all they do is push the large scale farming? Like,
Exactly.
they show you a video of the large scale farming and the pesticides, but GMOs and large scale farming are what these people promote. They talk out both sides of their mouth. They don't they don't want the small farms where
they're never going to bring in a Joel Salatin or a Leah and Michelle to talk about small scale independent farms and us feeding the world because we can.
Now, Joel Salatin, I believe he's been hoodwinked by Prince Charles, but Prince Charles is big on this monetary reset, and he is bringing Joel Salatin in.
Right.
But he's bringing Joel Salatin in on like the logistics on how to get things to people, and I feel like it's not right. So goal 3, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages. Mass vaccines. Okay? Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. UN propaganda, brainwashing through compulsory education from cradle to grave. Achieve gender equality, empower all women and girls. Population control through forced family planning. 6, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Privatize water sources. Don't forget to add fluoride. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Smart grid with smart meters.
Wait, you're reading too fast. Slow down and use goal and then translation. Because it just reads it like you're just reading all of these things. Slow down.
They want to ensure access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable and modern energy for all. What that translates to is a smart grid with smart meters on everything and high pricing. Their goal is to promote a sustained, inclusive, sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Translation: TPP, free trade zones with favorable mega corporate interests. Joe Biden already has all these mega people, lobbyists on his board. This is not about the little guy, okay? Number 9, rebuild resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. So what they want: toll roads, push public transit, remove your free travel. They want to stop all cars on the road. Environmental restrictions. Number 10, reduce inequality within and amongst countries. That's great. They want, translation, even more regional government bureaucracy. Number 11, make cities and human settlements, that's their words,
inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable.
Translation: Chinese big data control in a surveillance state. Number 12, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Translation: forced austerity. They want to control how you consume and what you do. But here's the thing. These are the same people that are running the plastic yogurt cups instead of teaching you how to make yogurt at home.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. I believe in sustainability. I believe in reduced consumption. In order to have reduced consumption, you have to have reduced hours at work so that you can make your own yogurt at home. You can use glassware so that you can can things. You need to have one parent at least at home, and you need, if you can, you should have the other parent working from home, making things with their own 2 hands. You don't need, they want everybody to be in a digital atmosphere,
and that everyone's job is sitting behind a computer all day long.
Exactly.
That's what they want.
So you kind of get the idea of it's all the same word salad over and over and over again, and you can see this here. So this is from Forbes magazine in 2016. Now remember, they're pushing the Great Reset now, but they had it planned for decades, but they pushed it out in Davos in 2016. Okay? Welcome to 2030. I own nothing. And that's why they had to do the virus this year and shut down the economy, because they had 10 years as for their goal. And they're very goal-oriented people. Okay? Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. It may seem odd to you, but it makes...
My stomach gurgled.
Wow. He says, welcome to 2030. Welcome to my city, or should I say our city. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or any clothes. How do you not own clothes? It may seem odd to you. And I have been trying to wrap my brain around not owning my underwear. What do you want with it? How do you digitize coming and taking my undies?
Can I explain something really quick for people to understand this digitizing? All right. When they took us off of the gold standard, they gave us hollow money. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any meaning at all. If you go to a bank and you get a loan, and you don't have any credit, a lot of times they will say, you know what? We need we need something to back up so that if you default on this loan, we can come and take it. All right. So it is well known that to keep creating, or maybe it's not so well known, to keep creating these digital dollars with nothing that backs them up, it's a system that will collapse.
Right.
So they've come up with this ingenious idea that instead of using gold and silver to back up the new currency, they've decided what we're going to do is everybody already has stuff. So if we digitize the stuff, then we have now put beams to shore up our hollow fake dollars. So instead of having gold and silver to back them up, your stuff backs them up. So it's not that they want your underwear. They just want to put a fake solid something behind that dollar so you actually never own it.
So guys, this is not the Babylon
They're
Bee.
stealing your stuff to prop up their hollow
That's
currency.
exactly what they're doing. Listen to this article. This to me, this is what they want. This is what Prince Charles is going for. This is what Klaus Schwab is going after. Listen to this. This is so insane to me. But Lynette Zhang has been talking about it, and I finally just realized that all this stuff is connected. Okay, so this may seem odd to you because it is incredibly insane, but it makes sense for us in this city. Everything you considered a product has now become a service. We have access to transportation, accommodation, and food, and all the things we need for our daily lives. One by one, all these things became free, so it ended up not making sense for us to own much. First, communication became digitized and free to everyone. Then, when clean energy became free, things started to move quickly. Transportation dropped dramatically in price. It made no sense for us to own cars anymore because we could call a driverless vehicle or a flying car for longer journeys within minutes. We started transporting ourselves in a much more organized and coordinated way.
This is a fictional, you didn't really...
No, this is their plan for 2030.
Right. It's a fictional depiction of what it's supposed to look like.
We started transporting ourselves in a much more organized and coordinated way when public transport became easier, quicker, and more convenient than a car. Now I can hardly believe that we accepted congestion and traffic jams. Because how are you going to get to where you're not going to... Space shuttles? Okay. Not to mention the air pollution from combustion engines. What were we thinking? Sometimes I use my bike when I go to see some of my friends. I enjoy the exercise and the ride.
But it's not
it
your bike.
It kind of gets the soul to come along on the journey. Funny how some of the things seem never to lose their excitement. Walking, biking, cooking, drawing, and growing plants. It makes perfect sense and reminds us how our culture emerged out of a close relationship with nature. In our city, we don't pay any rent because someone else is using our free space whenever we do not need it. My living room is used for business meetings when I am not there.
Okay, that's creepy.
Once in a while, I will choose to cook for myself. It is easy. The necessary kitchen equipment is delivered at my door within minutes. Since transport became free, we stopped having all those things stuffed into our home. Why keep a pasta maker and a crepe cooker crammed into our cupboards? We can just order them when we need them. And that's the digitation of it. You don't actually keep it at your house. You just take it when you need it. And then I guess you got to come
there's
back
more
and
to
get
it than that too, though. I mean, Lynette talks about it. It's in your home and you have it, but it's
this
digitized.
also made the breakthrough of the circular economy easier when products are turned into services. No one has an interest in things with a short lifespan. Everything is designed for durability and repairability and recyclability, and materials are flowing more quickly in our economy and can be transformed to new products pretty easily. Environmental problems seem far away since we only use clean energy and clean production means. The air is clean, the water is clean, and nobody would dare to touch the protected areas of nature because they constitute such value for our well-being. I still don't understand why we filled up all our free spots in the city with concrete. Shopping, I can't even remember what that is. For most of us, it has been turned into choosing things to use. Sometimes I find this fun, and sometimes I just want the algorithm to do it for me. It knows my taste better than I do now. Okay, the algorithm going to look a piece of art in a museum for you too? When AI and robots took over so much of our work, we suddenly had time to eat well, sleep well, and spend time with other people. The concept of rush hour makes no sense anymore since the work that we do can be done at any time. And I don't really know if I would call it work anymore. It is more like thinking time, creation time, and development time.
Oh my gosh.
For a while, everything was turned into entertainment and people did not want to bother themselves with difficult issues. It was only at the last minute that we found out how to use all these new technologies for better purposes than just killing time. My biggest concern is all the people who did not live in our city. Those we lost on the way. Those who decided that it would be too much, all this technology. Those who felt obsolete and useless when robots and AI took over big parts of our jobs. Those who got upset with the political system and turned against it. They live different kinds of lives outside of the city. This is like... Some have formed little self-supplying communities. Others just stayed in the empty and abandoned houses in small 19th century villages. Once in a while, I get annoyed with the fact that I have no real privacy, nowhere I can go and not be registered. I know that somewhere everything I do, think, and dream of is being recorded. I just hope that nobody will use it against me. All in all, it is a good life, much better than the path we were on, where it became so clear that we could not continue with the same model of growth. We had all these terrible things happening: life cycle diseases, climate change and refugee crises, environmental degradation, completely congested cities, blah, 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 blah. This blog was written ahead of the World Economic Forum annual meeting of global councils. It was Ida Eku is a young global leader and member of the Global Future. And this is what they're telling children.
It's unbelievable.
This is what they're telling children 2030 will look like.
Listen. It's not gonna happen. This is their goal. This is what they want to happen. It's not going to happen. I want you guys to be very clear of that. But we have to know what their stated goal is in order to stop it, both spiritually and within our society.
So this article from the Earheads, I'm going to end with this. This is saying the Great Reset has already happened, and I believe that Lynette is saying this as well. This is on her show.
Not that it's already happened, but rather, yes, that it would be an evolving process, I guess.
So
I should say.
Put it another way. This is from Charles Hugh Smith via of Two Minds blog. Put it another way. The elites have cannibalized the system so thoroughly that there's really nothing left to steal, exploit, or cannibalize. The global elite's techno fantasy of a completely centralized future, the Great Reset, is addressed as a future project. Too bad it already happened in 2008, 2009. The lackeys and toadies tasked with spewing the PR are 12 years late, and so are the critics listening to PR with foreboding. Simply put, events outran our understanding of them. The future already manifested while we were trying to cram the present arrangement into an obsolete conceptual framework. In a broad brush, the post-World War II era ended around 1970. The legitimate prosperity of 1946 to 1970 was based on cheap oil controlled by the U.S. and the homogeny of the U.S. dollar. Everything else was merely decoration. The original sin to hard money advocates was America's abandonment of the gold standard in 1971. But this was the only way to maintain homogeny. Maintaining the reserve currency is tricky. As a nation issuing the reserve currency has to supply the global economy with enough of the currency to grease commerce and stock central bank reserves around the world. As the global economy expanded, the only way the U.S. could send enough dollars overseas was to run trade deficits, which in a gold standard meant the gold reserves would go to zero as trading partners holding dollars would exchange the currency for gold. So the choice was give up the reserve currency and the homogeny of the U.S. dollar by jacking up the dollar's value so high that imports would collapse, or accept that homogeny was no longer compatible with the gold standard. It was a difficult decision. Who would give up global homogeny and for what? Many other dynamics changed around the same time: social, cultural, political. Again, in a broad brush, the key economic dynamic was the decline of labor share of the economy in favor of capital. The dominance of financial capital is visible, and you can see these charts. A private sector financial assets are now 6 times of the nation's GDP. So what it's talking about, these financial sector financial assets are more than the GDP. So the money flowing around is more than what we're actually producing.
Sure.
So it's like, boom. Right? It's not working, okay? This capital-friendly era was rocket boosted by the financialization of the 1980s, technology in the 90s, and globalization in the early 21st century. And you can see each advance of capital's top tier, the top 0.1% in the chart below, and the top 0.1% first pulled away in the 1980s. So, alas, these extremes are not stable, they're not sustainable, and each wave ends in a devastating crash. The income of the top 0.1% took a hit as the dot-com bubble burst, but then China's entry into the WTO saved the day as rampant globalization and additional extremes leveraged that and boost people in the 2000s. The dual extremes of financialization and globalization created this 2008 bubble, which we experienced ourselves because our grandma passed away and we saw GM die. And we had GM stock as a family, and it just like literally went away. All of it. Okay? And its collapse almost took down the entire global capital house of cards. It was over.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time. 2008, it was over. And we should have had a natural reset.
So when you were talking at the beginning of the article that Lynette talks about it having already happened, I thought you meant right now with recent events. Lynette takes us back to 2008 all the time. She said that's when we flatlined.
Right.
Okay. They actually weren't able to revive us and bring us back to life.
So the reset of that is,
they did Weekend at Bernie's and put like a false, they've just been puppeting to make it look like it's alive, but they did not revive it.
Of 29 trillion.
It's crazy.
29 twice the size of America's entire GDP. Instituted under the Great Reset under the usual guise of emergency measures. The Great Reset led to the hyper-centralization of control over the global economy's money. And then all the PR being spewed about the Great Reset is the final frantic flailing of the system that's drowning in its own excesses. Like, okay, now we gotta reset, right? The 50-year-long era of the few enriching themselves at the expenses of the many has ended, and this is good news, and what I want you to take away from today. Okay, for the same reason eras of extreme exploitation always end. The elites got too greedy and overshot the economy's ability to sustain their rapidly expanding share of the income and wealth, and by creating false stuff, right? So put it another way, the elites have cannibalized the system so thoroughly there's nothing left to steal, exploit, or cannibalize. The hyper-centralized global money control has run out of rope on the cheap oil is gone. Debts have ballooned to the point where there's no way they'll ever be paid down. And the only thing staving off collapse is money printing, which holds the seeds to its own demise. This is why my mom, when she writes blogs about gold and silver, and everybody's like, stop with the gold and silver. But what she's trying to tell you this in her own way is that the world is over the way we know it.
Yeah.
Okay? And the only way we get back to any sort of normal living is by having an honest monetary system.
Sure.
So the only way the Great Reset envisioned by global elites can actually manifest, their whole thing of digitization and stuff like that. The Martians arrived towing huge meteorites of pure lithium and gold, and rather than incinerating the global elites, they hand the global elites the meteorites to further their concentration of wealth and power. I love that idea. Short of science fiction, this thing's going down. Okay, the Great Reset has already run its course after 12 long years of just fakeness, fraud, and trickery, and culminating in the fraud and trickery of the United States election, which we're going to just sum up here in a second. So, global elites, shills, lackeys, factoriums, toadies, prepare for your Wile E. Coyote moment of truth. And so I love that article when it says, guys, it's done, it's been done. And when I see all of the articles, and you can just read them, you just Google over and over again, the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum's Great Reset is a blueprint for tyranny here from June 15th from Edward Griffin's Need to Know here. And this whole, he kind of goes over just everything that we talked about, this great reset. So they sent out COVID-19 because they realized they're trying to save their own tushies. That's what this is all about. They love their jet-setting lives. They love living on islands and having their little cocktail parties, and they love having power, but they ran out. They ran out. There's no more rope.
Right.
And that's why they're pushing this reset, and they're framing it in a way as it's good for you.
Right.
It's good for you. But it's not about you. And that's the same thing with the United States election. They put Americans in fear of Donald Trump because they're afraid of Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Because they ran their rope out.
Yep.
They did too many crazy things. The Clinton body bag, the Clinton Global Initiative. It just came out last night, not before the election, that Joe Biden has a cancer research firm It's a UK article, and I think that they took in 400 million, and they spent 3.7 million. Don't quote me, but it's like 300 and about 300 million on travel and expenses and salaries, and they have never funded any cancer research.
You're kidding. So it's a shell.
It's a shell.
Oh, wow. For money laundering.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
How did Joe Biden get any of that money that Hunter was getting? Probably through shells like that.
Yeah. So, with Schwab says, we only have one planet, and we know that climate change could be the next global disaster and even more dramatic consequences for humankind. Remembering that this is what they've been trying to do. The World Economic Forum then has an appearance by the would-be King of England, Prince Charles, referring to the global COVID-19 catastrophe. He says, if there is one critical lesson to learn from this crisis, it is that we need to put nature at the heart of how we operate. We simply can't waste any more time. We must build more equal, inclusive, and sustainable economies and societies that are more resilient in the face of pandemics, climate change, and many other global changes that we face. Note his talk of sustainable economies and societies. This great reset is no spur-of-the-moment idea of Schwab and friends. The World Economic Forum states COVID-19 lockdowns may be gradually easing, but anxiety about the world's social and economic prospects is only intensifying. So they have these radical changes with this 2020 craziness going on. But I'm going to make a shift here. And my shift here is going to be to the U.S. election.
I wish we could do a separate video on this. We won't, just because it takes too much for us to reset it up. But this part of the show, I think, is going to be really, really important. And you'll be glad that you stayed around through the World Economic Forum reset stuff to get to this, because this is the latest in what's happening. Yesterday, there was it was called the Million Mega March. On Washington, D.C.
You can watch our video.
You can watch our video on that. It was really, really great. Leah's got a couple clips here. And then what happened afterwards divulged into something not awesome.
It did, and I'm not really going to cover that right now. You can go to our Resistance Chicks Facebook page and see some of the videos. They're very disturbing to watch. But this is...
Bless you.
Excuse me. This is Vigano's address. This isn't Vigano. I actually don't even know this guy's name, but he was with Jack Posobiec. I think I follow him on Twitter. I forget his name. Maybe you guys know who he is. He's Catholic. But he was given an address from Vigano to the world.
It's awesome.
And that's why this is part of World News here today.
Great global leader, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, wrote a special note.
Hang on, wait for it to connect here a second, because you'll hear it better if it comes out of this speaker. So hold up, guys. Now, apparently we've been saying it wrong. He says, if he knows, he says Vigano. Like, Vigano. Just saying. I'm not going to change how I say it, though.
Wrote a special note of encouragement that I would like to read to you today
Marshall
as a pastoral epistle to all of us gathered here to support America and our President, Donald J. Trump. Dear brothers and sisters, allow me to address this message to you, spiritually united with all of you, in the legitimate request for truth and transparency in the face of the election fraud that is coming to light. Some would have us believe that the people have spoken out in favor of one candidate, and they were foolish enough to tell us this while the voting counting was still in progress. They were so sure of victory that they did not accept any dissenting voices, and even went so far as to censor the very words of the current President of the United States of America, Donald John Trump. It is true, the people have spoken, but not in favor of those who promote the killing of innocent lives in the womb, not in favor of those who impose deadly ideologies on our children, and not in favor of those who obey an international elite who wish to establish a new world order. The people have spoken in favor of traditional values, in defense of life, in defense of family, in defense of national sovereignty. Values that have made America great, and which form the basis of your country's freedom and peace and harmony and prosperity. Yes. As Christians and honest citizens of this great and beloved nation, which is proud to proclaim to be under God, we have a duty to trust that justice and truth will triumph also on this occasion, and they will triumph not only through the honesty and fairness of so many people, but also through our prayers.
As lawyers and magistrates investigate the abuses and crimes committed, let us turn to the Lord, the supreme judge, the supreme justice, through the intercession of Our Lady Most Holy and through Jesus Christ our Lord. This in heaven is the Supreme Court. And may we pray that the will of God be fulfilled and truth may triumph over falsehood.
That's so good.
Yes.
Was that the end of it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There might be more. But
Okay. Well, but here's the deal. What I love about Cardinal Vigano is that he has taken an active, not just interest, but he believes that it is like the call of God on his life to spread the truth of what is happening in current events.
Yeah.
And he's the one that exposed the pedophilia in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And he received flack for it. So he has put his money and his reputation on the line. Like, we can see clearly that he is not trying to get anything out of this. He lost everything.
So, Kansas is so funny.
And he's in on the know.
He drove us all around Cincinnati as part of the, twice. The loop. Never done the whole thing. I didn't know what it looked like over there in 275 in Indiana. But he drove us around a couple times, and he woke up today, and he's like, so, is there any new news? And I was like, you mean like with the election? He's like, yeah. So the quick news, the lowdown that I gave to him is the lowdown I'm going to give to you. The mainstream media is now beginning to report Rasmussen polls and from Town Hall. They're beginning to really not think that this might be such a conspiracy theory that the election was stolen. Okay?
When you look at the data, kind of looks a little impossible.
Exactly. So, Town Hall has an article. Rasmussen tweeted out an article from the Gateway Pundit. The Gateway Pundit is kind of, Jim Hoft there. He kind of is, he kind of flies by the seat of his pants sometimes with how he writes things, but he's usually right. And so this pollster says, I'm curious how Biden underperformed Hillary Clinton in every city except for these 4 cities, okay? This is from Matt Vespa. So until all the votes are counted and all the allegations of voter fraud are investigated, I think it's too early to declare a winner in the 2020 race. You keep fighting. For now, the legal challenges are hitting snags in the courts. Still, President Trump should keep fighting to the end. We have dead people voting. We have allegations of ballots being literally backdated. Everything should be looked at right now. Was this election stolen? Well, many feel that way. Millions. The turnout numbers are odd in some states, like Wisconsin, which hit 89%. Now, is that figure impossible? No. Wall Street Journal's Kimberly Strassel did the math, but it's highly improbable given the turnout rates in surrounding areas, okay? It would require 900,000 people showing up for same-day registrations.
Oh my gosh.
It would require 1 million people signing up for same-day registrations.
Not buying it. Not buying it.
That didn't happen. That did not happen. Which means if that's actually true, then that's probably about 1 million more votes in Wisconsin for Donald Trump.
Right.
Like 1 million.
Well, not so much 1 million more, but those were false votes that went to Biden.
That should go to Trump.
Well, if they're just made up votes out of nowhere, then they don't go to Trump.
Yeah, they don't go to Trump.
Okay.
That's true.
They just come back down from Biden.
Right. So but he would win by that many.
He would win by that many, yes.
But he wouldn't be added. So we're saying 2 different things, right? Okay. But then the lead, when you look at the numbers, how much he beat Biden by, it's like by 1 million.
It is.
In Wisconsin.
Yes.
Like 1 million. Like literally Donald Trump beat Biden by 1 million in Wisconsin.
But hang on, that's just talking about same-day registration.
We're talking about the dead people and the backdating and the witness signature, things like that.
Yeah.
This is why Donald Trump, Michelle kept saying this to me, and listen, I need to listen to my sister a little bit more.
Oh.
She could feel it in her bones. She kept telling me, Leah, I see this whole country just red. Maybe New York and California. But she's like, but not even California. Right?
I could feel it in my bones that the people of America, I could almost feel this like uniting, like we are all Trump.
Right.
We all felt it.
Yeah.
Everybody felt it.
Okay. So, All right, it would require 900 people showing up for same-day registrations. 900,000 people, not 900 people. I could see 900 people showing up for same-day registrations.
Sure.
I could see 10,000. I could probably, the most I could see would be 100,000.
Yeah.
People showing up for same-day registrations, but I can't see 1 million Wisconsinians who decided, you know what? Today I want to vote. Not. I don't want to register yesterday or the day before or a month before. Today, I'm just going to go vote. Like, so, that's not a thing.
Miko says that makes more sense to me. I live in Wisconsin.
Thank you, Wisconsin. You voted 1 million more votes for Trump than Biden. Just feel good about that. Now, we're going to pray that God exposes this, all right? So former House Speaker Newt Gingrich was blunter. Last Sunday, he said, I think...
Gingrich.
That's what I said.
What did you say?
Gingrich. Okay. So anyways, I think he would have to do a lot to convince Republicans that this is anything except a left-wing power grab financed by people like George Soros. We covered this on our show on Friday, how literally the voting machine tabulation company in Canada is on the same floor in the same building as a George Soros organization. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Deeply laid in at the local level, and frankly, and here's the thing. Sidney Powell in the show video, she thinks that Donald Trump was skimmed 3% off the top, and then they put icing on the cake in 4 particular cities.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I think that it is a corrupt, stolen election. He was commenting on Biden's call for unity, which we saw what happened after the Trump march yesterday. Yet he also gave a hat tip to someone we have written about here, Democracy Institute's Patrick Basham. We believe these people are thieves. We believe the big city machines are corrupt, the former House Speaker said. Interestingly, Patrick Basham, who's the most accurate pollster, he's British, wrote in a British newspaper that this clearly was a stolen election, that it is impossible to imagine that Biden outran Obama in some of these states. Indeed, Basham quoted Joseph Stalin's remarks about elections, where the Soviet dictator mentioned something about how it's not important who votes, but how the votes are counted, which appears to ring eerily true about this race. Basham has more in his piece in the Sunday Express, where he first highlighted how his data was again on the money regarding the Democratic turnout, the shy Trump vote, and how the president's law and order approach prevented catastrophic bleeding with suburban women voters. And actually, we were told the suburban women were leaving in droves, but the suburban women, most of them are watching Black Lives Matter, and they're like, please don't come to my city. Yeah. I have children, and no, this is not okay. Yeah. Like, Mama Bear comes out.
Yeah.
Okay? And suburban white women and urban black males were the shy Trump voters this year. Urban black males. So how in these 4 cities, the black males, supposedly everywhere else in the country, vote for Donald Trump, but in these particular 4 cities, obviously because they're urban, I don't know who was voting there in these 4 cities. The president drew 10 million new supporters in 2020. He also took aim at the 2020 pollsters as a whole this cycle as well. If you count the ballot fraud, most pollsters clearly failed. If you don't include the fraudulent ballots, most pollsters failed on a spectacular scale. Yet here's where the things get fishy in the 2020 race, which he mentions at the end of his column. He cites Richard Barris of the Big Data Poll, who we talked about, the People's Pundit, who noted something funny about Biden's numbers in the cities. How it lagged behind Clinton's numbers, but shot off to the moon in these 4 cities. Just take a look at the states in which these cities are located. How curious that, as Barris notes, Trump won the largest non-white vote share of a Republican presidential candidate in 60 years. In 60 years, Biden underperformed Hillary Clinton in every major metro area around the country, save for Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Detroit, Michigan, Atlanta, Georgia, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. These are the 4 states that they're saying are going to go and swing towards Biden. But in these 4 states, this is where the Democrats pushed the mail-in ballot fraud to the extreme. Okay? Robert Barnes, the foremost election analyst, observes that these big cities in swing states run by Democrats, the vote even exceeded the number of registered voters. Okay? Trump's victories in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin were on target until in the middle of the night, counting was arbitrarily halted. Miraculously, several 100,000 votes, all for Biden, were mysteriously found, and Trump's lead subsequently vanished. The protracted eventual outcome will determine the contemporary reliance of Stalin's observation. No matter who wins, the pollsters have already lost their credibility and influence. Trump is still very much in a Hail Mary territory regarding pulling this out. But it's no longer about this election.
Exactly.
It's about the next one. If the Democrats can get away with these shenanigans this year, do you think that they'll stop? I think you know the answer to that question, and you all know the kind of left-wing scum we're dealing with. Nancy Pelosi wants the very first thing on the bill to go to what they've done in this election as far as mail-in voting, and like, you don't need any sort of ID, no verification on mail-in ballots whatsoever. Mail-in ballots allowed after the day of election,
right,
with no post-dating, no signature matches. There's no way to find out who is actually sending in these ballots, and then to top it all off, they don't want people to count them or look at them who are Republicans. I mean, this is...
So essentially what they're saying is we want to have a football game with no referee, with zero rules, where people just go out onto the field, and the strongest team that's willing to undercut the most, that's willing to pull hair, that's willing to knee jab, that's willing to knock players out.
Right.
It's literally just becomes a free-for-all. Whoever fights the dirtiest wins.
Right.
That's the type of election that they want us to have.
So here was, if you guys didn't catch our video, go catch our video. We show all these videos of happy Trump supporters. Look at all these white suburban women voting for Donald J. Trump.
There's a bunch of Asian people. There's black people there.
Oh, it was so diverse. It was such a great day yesterday. It was like heaven on earth, and I wanted to be there so badly.
I want you guys to be so encouraged that the things that we showed on our show yesterday are pause. The things that we showed on our show yesterday should encourage you that we are invoking God. And God always comes to fight for those who have had injustices done against them.
Especially when they ask him.
Especially when they ask him.
And we ask him in such large numbers.
The speech that we played where the young man was like, and if God be for us, and the whole crowd shouts, who can be against us?
Yeah.
That is a true statement. And I think a lot of people...
And then they started to chant, Christ is King. Christ is King. Christ is King.
I think a lot of people are going to come to Christ as a result of this.
What if this is what we're going through?
Yelling against
I'm sorry.
police.
What if this is what we're going through so that people can come to know Jesus?
Right. And that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. We finish each other's sentences, and it's usually Leah that finishes mine. But that's all of this is happening for God to get the glory, for the fraud to get exposed, okay? And in the end, for right and righteousness to win out, so we never go through this again, and for salvation. All right, now, this woman right here is my new favorite person, and I think every Republican's favorite person on the planet right now, Sidney Powell.
Release the Kraken, Sidney Powell. Okay, you ready? This is this morning.
She has enough evidence of fraud to launch a massive criminal investigation. Sidney, thanks very much for being here. We appreciate your time this morning. I want to get right into it. We just heard about the software made by Smartmatic from Rudy, and I want to get your take on what you and I spoke about just a few minutes ago, and that is a gentleman named Peter Neffinger. Tell me how he fits into all of this.
Yes, well, he is listed as its former Admiral Peter Neffinger, or retired Admiral Peter Neffinger. He is president and on the board of directors of Smartmatic. And it just so happens he's on Mr. Biden's presidential transition team that's going to be non-existent because we're fixing to overturn the results of the election in multiple states. And President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were shifted by this software that was designed expressly for that purpose. We have sworn witness testimony of why the software was designed. It was designed to rig elections. He was fully briefed on it. He saw it happen in other countries. It was exported internationally for profit by the people that are behind Smartmatic and Dominion. They did this on purpose. It was calculated. They've done it before. We have evidence from 2016 in California. We have so much evidence, I feel like it's coming in through a fire hose.
Wow. So, Sydney, you feel that you will be able to prove this. Do you have the software in your possession? Do you have the hardware in your possession? How will you prove this, Sydney?
Well, I've got lots of ways to prove it, Maria, but I'm not going to tell on national TV what all we have. I just can't do that.
Duh. I love her. I love her. I
So
just want to give
also
her a big hug.
this hand count in Georgia, Brian Kemp is the governor, and he approved of the Smartmatic Dominion software just for this election, just this year. It's brand new this year, by the way. And I believe it was his chief of staff or someone with Brian Kemp helped push this through, and he got kickbacks for this.
Wow.
So just know there's a lot of corrupt people with this software. And I want to encourage you guys.
So much.
This I thought was hilarious. Honk for the truth about COVID. 99% survival rate. Lots of people honking. Investigate Bill Gates on the crimes. Say no to mandatory vaccine.
That's so awesome. Where was that?
I'm not exactly sure. Just on the highway somewhere. Just driving down the highway.
I love that. It's what this is they've got these new TV kind of trucks that they can do. They put these TV billboards out there on a truck, and they'll drive around with them.
Right. Okay. So again, then after this wonderful march, we had Antifa come out, BML terrorists, viciously attack women, children, elderly. I don't want to depress you guys. So I'm not going to talk about it, but it was a wonderful, beautiful day. And then the American Greatness put this together. Breitbart has an article putting it together. If you
Antifa was kept at bay throughout the day because of the massive number of Trump supporters. They could not attack. It would have been like hitting against a brick wall. So they were told, not BLM, but the Trump supporters were told, listen, just get out of your fast. Do not linger because the BLM protesters will start to pick us off one by one. And they did.
Right.
They were beating people. They were harassing people. They were throwing liquids at people. They were stealing property from people. It was. They kicked a man in the head when he was on. They stomped his head when he was on the ground.
So I'm going to end with this. There's a little kind of swear word in this. I thought it was funny from Rebel News. All new holiday game. It's called Woke. It's a card game. It's
woke.
Spoof.
It's not a real game.
It's a spoof. Okay.
Card game. I got BIPOC.
I've got LGBTQ+.
I've got Obama. How do you get Obama like every time? I might have slipped a few extra in there. What did you get, Ethan? I got Donald Trump. Get the out of my house. Why should I? Get the out. Get the out. You're a fascist. Out of your house. You're a fascist rapist. Why are you kicking me out? Because you're a transphobe. I'm not even a transphobe. Yes, you are. I'm actually not. Yeah, you are. I'm not. You are. He's gone. Pull the mystery card and you get to do an impression.
I've got mystery woke.
Do Joe Biden. Oh my god, you just got 137,000 votes in one night.
You're gonna be the next president of the United States.
I pulled COVID test.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I have COVID. It's Woke the Card Game. AOC blow-up dolls sold separately.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's hilarious.
It was a little bit untoward, but I thought you guys would get a kick out of that.
Oh dear.
To Joe Biden.
Hair sniffing.
Oh, I got 138,000 votes in the middle of the day.
Oh my gosh. All right, so I love this from Deaf Bread. Luke 6:22. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake.
That's good.
Very, very well said.
All right, I got a scripture for you guys. I'm gonna end with this, everybody.
You keep saying I'm gonna end with this.
Yeah, I'm ending.
You've ended this is like Lord of the Rings. You
This
have
is-
had like 10 endings.
This is the ending of all endings.
Then you're gonna pray, and we'll be here for another
I don't need to
hour.
pray. We don't have to pray.
We can pray. I will pray. I will.
This
pray.
was good. This is good. Psalm 94.
Okay.
Oh Lord, God, the Avenger.
That's good.
Oh God, the Avenger. Show yourself clearly. Exalt yourself, O Judge of the world, and render a reward to the proud. How long, Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph? They prate and speak fiercely. All the workers of iniquity, they vaunt themselves. They smite down your people, O Lord, and trouble your heritage. They slay the widow and the stranger and murder the fatherless. Yet they say the Lord will not see, neither will the God of Jacob regard it. Understand, you unwise among the people, and you fools, when will you be wise? He that plants the ear. What does that even mean? Plants the ear. This is a Geneva Bible.
Like a corn.
He show us that it is impossible. Yeah, I guess he that plants. Shall he not hear? Or he that creates the ear. I think that's what that means. He that creates the ear, shall he not hear? Or he that forms the eye, shall he not see? Or he that chastises the nation, shall he not correct? He that teaches man knowledge. Isn't he going to understand what's going on here? Right? The Lord knows the thoughts of man. They are vanity. Blessed is the man to whom you chastise, O Lord, and teach him by your law, that you may give him rest from the days of evil, while the pit is dug for the wicked.
It's so good.
Surely the Lord will not fail his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. For judgment shall return to justice, and all the upright in heart will follow after it.
Wow.
Who will rise up with me against the wicked? Who will take my part against the workers of election fraud?
Yes.
If the Lord had not helped me, my soul would have dwelt in silence. When I said, my foot slides, your mercy, O Lord, stayed me. In the multitude of my thoughts in my heart, your comforts have rejoiced my soul. Hath the throne of iniquity fellowship with you, which forges wrong for a law? But they're just stealing things, okay? They gather themselves against the soul of the righteous, and they condemn innocent blood. But the Lord is my refuge, and my God is the rock of mine hope, and he will recompense them their wickedness, and destroy them in their own malice. Yea, the Lord our God will destroy them.
That's good. That's really, really good. All right, so
why don't you tell them how this will all work out for other people in the world too?
It's all going to work out for other people in the world, because God is doing this because the kingdom is spreading. Mm-hmm. It's been spreading since Jesus came. It's been spreading since 70 AD when everything changed. You want to talk about a reset? If you're not listening to our Revelation Red Pill Academy series, you can go and check that out on our website, resistancechicks.com, where we will explain to you all of the nefarious inner workings of the modern end times theology that tells us things have to get worse and worse and worse and worse, and then all of a sudden, poof, Jesus comes back, and it's all over. Rather than what the Bible teaches about the knowledge of the glory of God covering the earth, like the waters cover the sea, and of the increase of His kingdom, of His government and peace, there will be no end. It just keeps growing and getting bigger. So around the world, we are experiencing, it's not a populist movement. It's not even a anti-globalist movement. It's just a God movement. That's why it's so powerful. That's why we feel connected. So you guys need to have hope. What you're seeing happening in the United States of patriots rising up. We're watching a show where how many of you in the chat, raise your hand, are from not in the United States? Are not from the United States. Raise your hand in the chat if you don't live here.
Are you from Ireland? Wearing my green today.
I mean, seriously, this is a worldwide movement for godliness, for right, for morality. We are tired. We are so sick and tired.
But we're winning.
Of being suppressed.
Yeah.
Right is winning.
Yeah.
So we're going to sign off. We do need to do, and I want to do my birthday mail call. We just haven't had a chance. Haven't had time. We've been so busy covering
Maybe we'll make a special video
stuff
tomorrow. We'll just check the mailbox one more time.
Okay. So what says I'm from Germany? I can already see at least Barry, obviously. Britt Baza is from Essex, England. Mikey B raises his hand. We'll wait for some of that to come. I don't know what Suomi. That's not a place. Can't be a place. Mikey's from Wessex, England. Barbara Cunningham raises her hand. So they're continuing to come in, but Dale Jones says, I'm from Philadelphia. That's not really in the USA. Right now, you're a little bit, we're gonna...
we gotta work on our differences, Philly.
Stephen Ainsworth raises his hand. So we have people from... Okay, Firehorse says Glastonbury, Somerset. Okay, so Suomi is in Finland. Thank you. So what? What do I
You're
know?
from Finland!
Somebody's from Finland. Oh, Robin Poe knew that too. Apparently everybody knows where Suomi is.
You're our neighbor.
Yeah. Nanya Business says, I'm from Texas, soon to not be part of the USA. Born Canada, moved American when toddler, now in Miami at the moment. Tracy on Facebook says, and me too in Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire.
So I'm so glad that we have all these viewers from around the world.
All around the world.
We love you.
We love you.
I wish we were on our main channel right now.
It would be so awesome.
I don't know how long it'll take before we can actually stream live there, but we should be able to at least post videos in the next few days onto our Mass Faith 3 channel.
And then when we make the video, when we post it, we'd be like, please come watch us, subscribe to Resistance Chicks. We should have all 10,000 of you over here.
Corey's in Massachusetts.
You guys, our video yesterday just really was awesome.
Yeah, it was really
good. We had so many people there live watching on Resistance Chicks channel. Okay, we were hitting the same epic numbers that we were hitting on Mass Faith 3 channel. You guys are hungry for the truth because you know it's the truth. And now we know that we know that we know, and if you can feel it, you can feel good about it.
Yeah.
And then when you know the truth and you say it to somebody else, it's like this. It's like but they still have Biden president-elect. Well, actually, Facebook took him to projected winner.
No way.
Projected winner.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's a downgrade, right?
Sure.
I think that's...
Well, they downgraded Trump from president to presidential candidate. Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. Carl says, I'm from Norway.
Yay.
Very, very good. Yes, Lender, we were sent to the YouTube basement, and that's fine because we'll just have a party in the basement.
Phoenix rising from the basement.
Yes, exactly. Why is Mass Faith 3 the main channel? Resistance Chicks is a catchier name. Well, all right, story time. All right, we've told this story so many times, but apparently some people don't know, and then we really will go with this. My initials are MAS. Leah's middle name is Faith. When you include Patriot Gallery, there's 3 of us. It just started out a long time ago as an email address. Okay, we just Mass Faith 3. So as an email address, way back when, we started a YouTube channel. And we just labeled it Mass Faith 3 because you would use your email name, okay? And we started uploading some homesteading videos and some how-to videos and some remodel videos. And then we did something called Leah and Michelle's Virgin Diaries. And it was hilarious. And we did several episodes in Leah and Michelle's Virgin Diaries, and we gained several subscribers. In 2016, near the end, Patriot Gallery said, you know, we were watching Alex Jones and he was red pilling the world, and Mom was listening to other channels, and she said, you know, you guys do all the research, especially Leah does. You could probably do shows like them. You already have an audience. Why not just do that? And so we thought, well, I don't know, I guess at the start of the year when President-elect Donald Trump becomes, you know, president, we can kind of cover all that stuff. So starting in January of 2017, we started doing some shows. We came up with the name Resistance Chicks because we listened to Alex Jones and he was constantly going, you are the resistance.
Yeah.
Okay, so we felt like, yeah, we're the Resistance Chicks, but we're the Resistance. We're a couple of chicks, Resistance Chicks.
We thought it'd be fun.
Started a new channel. We thought, well, we already have some viewers on our Mass Faith 3 channel. We'll upload the same videos that we do on Resistance Chicks, our new channel, onto Mass Faith 3. And just so they know, just to get them acclimated, come over to Resistance Chicks. Well, because of the algorithm, YouTube started sending thousands, tens of thousands of viewers to the Mass Faith 3 channel
on the same video
instead of the Resistance Chicks channel on the same video. So Mass Faith 3 just took off. We were gaining 100 subscribers like a day, and that whole first half of 2017 was huge.
So it wasn't the video title, it was the channel that they would send people to, you know.
Exactly.
Like that one, we had one video of Bill Clinton looking at Ivanka Trump, and in like a couple days it had 75,000 views. But like on Resistance Chicks, it had like 4,000 or 5,000 views,
right.
And so it was a no-brainer for us.
Now we weren't. Remember, this was back when we were just doing clips.
Yeah.
We would take like 5 topics, like we cover in a show like this. We would record them into short clips and send them off.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, and then YouTube started censoring that. wouldn't let people find us. We noticed when we went live, we got a lot more viewers.
Right.
So then we just started streaming live all the time.
Right.
Okay. Because it actually garnered more views.
Yeah.
And then YouTube continued. They were like, well, we can't let them have that. So then we're going to suppress that as well. We had a video that went to like 160,000 views in like 10 seconds and then squashed. It just never got another view after that.
Right.
And that was the Charlottesville video.
Trump was bombing Syria, and I think we had like 2,000 people watching us one time.
Yeah, it was huge. It was massive. So that's how we ended up at Mass Faith 3. Now, I actually am considering, I don't know yet, if this lasts for 3 months, then obviously this is what we'll do. Because it's a 90-day strike on our Mass Faith 3 channel. It's supposed to be 1 week where I'm not allowed to post, and I don't know if that's going to include going live or not. I like the idea of continuing on Resistance Chicks because they're allowing us to kind of break out for who knows how long, okay, on the Resistance Chicks channel, only because for the past 2 years, our subscribership on Mass Faith 3, and I say this a lot, and I hate to sound like an Alex Jones broken record, but they keep us at 10,300 for 2 solid years. When we gain subscribers, they start pulling. They pull subscribers from us every single day, daily. We are. It's amazing. We're treading water at 10,300.
It's an algorithm.
It's all the algorithm. So that's the story.
But Resistance Chicks is kind of gaining a little
It is.
steam.
We are gaining some steam on Resistance Chicks. So we may continue to do our live stuff on Resistance Chicks and then just post to Mass Faith 3. We'll see. I'm not sure. As the Lord leads. Got it? There's your story, and I'm sticking to it. I like the Resistance Chicks too. It is easier for people to find us on our Resistance Chicks channel. So remember, we have a podcast. So if you want to take us with you and just listen, you can find that on our website, resistancechicks.com. You can send us emails at massfaith33@gmail.com. All of our contact information is in the description of the
P.O.
videos.
boxes and letters. 107 Milford, Ohio 45150.
Really important. Really important. Find us on Parler.
Find us on Parler.
I am Mass Faith 3 with
and
1
Rumble.
3. And we're on Rumble. I don't really understand Rumble very well. Exactly. I know we're gaining new subscribers and followers there. It's weird. It's the boxing thing. You're supposed to like watch the video and it scrolls and you have to watch it for 10 seconds and then you can swipe, and it's all very strange to me, and I'm going to learn it, but it's Dan Bongino's thing, so I'm supportive. But Leah is Resistance Chicks on Parler. I am Mass Faith 3 on Parler, and we are posting there, at least I am, regularly. So you'll want to follow me. Leave a comment and say, I follow you, I watch your show, and I will follow you back. I'm not just going to follow random people back, but if you tell me you are a Resistance Chicks viewer, I will follow you back. So I think that covers up the business end. Tracy says, this whole week has been amazing coverage. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you, Tracy. We love you guys. Let's see. Red says, I've got you both on Rumble and Parler. So, all right, we're going to sign off. God, I lift up everything that's going on worldwide. We cast down the globalists in the name of Jesus. They have no authority.
None.
Every single plan that they have laid out, they will fall in their own trap, that they will not be able to succeed, that right will win, righteousness will win, every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, and freedom reigns in the land. And I thank you that your kingdom is continuing to spread every single day. And people are going to look to this election with Donald J. Trump.
Donald J. Trump, baby.
And instead of looking to Donald J. Trump, they're going to say, wow, look at what a miracle God has done. Okay, so Katie says, New Jersey Shore. Got somebody from, I'm not even going to try to do your accent. I won't.
Jersey.
No, it's no good. So, all right, you should get your vids on BitChute. Firehorse, where have you been? We've been on BitChute for like 2 years. Patriot Gallery does all that. Thank Patriot Gallery, please. Because Patriot Gallery takes all of our videos, and she's the one that puts them on those alternate video sites. Okay,
BitChute,
Brighteon, Joshua TV. I think there might be a couple of more there. So she just last night she did a 2-parter, which I haven't had a chance to watch, but from what I hear, it's really, really good. So
yeah.
Okay, Colossians 2:17, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. Yesterday's show was great, says Katie. Thank you for that. All right, we're really going to go. Hate to leave you, but we really must go. We'll be back on Friday for sure at our 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Can't wait to announce the results of the election.
Yeah, that's coming soon. Be excited, guys. Like I said, follow us where we are on Parler
weeks.
if you want encouragement, because we're going to continue to post all the good news, like the Sidney Powell clips and things like that.
Hang on to your tushy. It's a ride.
It's a bumpy ride. It's kind of like riding around in my Jeep. But it gets you there and it's more fun.
4 weeks of this.
4 weeks. Is it really going to be 4 weeks? Yeah, till December 14th. Mm-hmm. All right. No, a lot can happen in 4 weeks. New stuff happens every day. So we'll try to bring you coverage as we can this coming week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But it may be short car ride videos and stuff like that. And hopefully we'll do a mail call soon. So, all right. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Okay. Good night.
I was cold all alone. No place for